Welcome, guys. Thank you for joining us this afternoon. I'm your host, Fawn. I'm here with Kresnik as well. Welcome to the PPL. We have a very interesting matchup today. Very excited to see what the Renegades have in store for us, and also what PK has in store for us too today.
Yeah, should be a good game, I think, so far today. A little shorter initially than we were anticipating, but two teams kind of coming in an interesting situation. Renegades, better start than we hoped, back to normal. Kind of both sides of the coin for them. We'll see what side they land on today. PK is still kind of adjusting to their new roster, but I think a solid week last time. So
Right.
I'm excited to see these two teams brawl it out.
Right, exactly. Along with that, I believe we only have one game today, though.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, SSG having a little bit of travel issues, so the only game it is that we'll be broadcasting today will be Renegades versus Pittsburgh Knights. And we're going to take a look at the standings as well to see what we've got going on right now currently in the PPL. NIP being at the top as normal. Navi, Team Envy, top three teams. Space Station Gaming, Virtus Pro, Kanga, Pittsburgh Knights, and Renegades being in last, unfortunately. But this is what's very interesting is that we have the 7th and 8th seeds currently in the PPL about to duke it out, about to battle today to see who's really shown some growth. Renegades have been doing pretty well overall with how they've been approaching some of these matchups. They've beaten Navi, they've beaten a few others as well, and doing really well this past split. But we start to see a little bit of different Renegades. Even though they did lose, they have sort of come to their calling a little bit. I'm curious to see what they have in store for us today against PK.
Yeah, like I said before, we got to see what side of the Renegades comes out. I mean,
Right.
you said this is a 7th A seed matchup, but
Right, yeah.
it almost doesn't feel like that after how
exactly.
these teams have been performing recently. The changes that Knights made and the changes, I guess, internally than Renegades made. I mean, people were kind of critiquing them for not making those changes after their first split with only one win, but they really did pull it out, I think. Even with last week, I still think they're going to be able to recuperate. Like, they've shown that brilliance, and I don't doubt that they can pull it out again.
Same. I agree with that. I do agree with that statement. We just have in general that, like, I mean, like, Renegades been at the bottom for a very long time. A lot of people don't tend to expect a lot from them, but they've shown to a lot of people that they are doing extremely well, that they're doing just consistently well, and they're still improving. However, we're going to cut to a quick video real quick. We're going to show you guys what we have in store for today.
The Renegades came into this season with a reputation of being an exactly middle-of-the-road team. After so many roster shakeups coming into the overhauled 2019 PPL LAN season, it was hard to guess where they might land in the new 8-team league. The team came out of the gate strong, with a win over Kanga Esports, but that was it. Every other game slipped their grasp for the remainder of the phase. Something needed to change.
So, big difference between Stage 1 Renegades and Stage 2 Renegades, I think, was like confidence level on the team, like all across the board. And I think Stage 2, like Shadows really came in and been like really confident in his own play, and Vokal's always been there, but he's like finding the mentality to like just stay focused and stay calm.
Just like towards the end of the split, we started, cracking down on the little mistakes we made that ended up actually being major in game. And then we also just brought our team synergy up during the off season to make sure that during the phase we'd start, performing well and getting those wins.
Yeah, main factor is everybody syncing up with each other, just being on the same page. Just like, say someone calls for help before the words even come out of their mouth, everybody's in sync and just going to help them.
Some of the problems I wish that I were to, identify during the season was probably like minor positioning errors and just, being more on top of team synergy and just comboing with other ults and stuff like that.
I think I would have preferred to start doing like reviews and like really sit down and talk about like what's going on earlier, and like start from like the bottom to the top. Like, what are we doing wrong? Why are other teams like winning when we're not? When we have like pretty good players, stuff like that. I think we just needed to like pick apart the team, see like where we can improve at every like level.
I think one of the biggest things was towards the end of phase 1, where we swapped me to main drafter, and that allowed all of us together to have a better picture of what we were doing when we roll out of spawn. We had all this time to just build up on that, and I had all the time and the feedback from my teammates to build on like how we should roll out from spawn and like how the goal of our draft should be. And yeah,
like pretty much all of us tried in-game leading. I felt like Moon stepped up, and I think he was the best at it.
and he kind of took that role upon himself as like for him to step up because no one else was really taking that role. And then during the phase, as time went on, he started, cracking down on those skills and making himself a better IGL and shot caller, and I think that's what contributed to us winning later in the season.
He's been doing a fantastic job from last season to this season. It's been major improvement.
I would like to think so. That's one of the most important things I feel that we improved on was our synergy and communication back and forth and relying on each other a lot more.
New leadership and adjustments top to bottom showed that, despite their slow start, Renegades were not ready to go quietly into that good night.
Honestly, just like thinking about, oh, it's Na'Vi, they're untouchable, none of that was in my mind once we set foot into game.
Like, I did not expect to win this set at all. I woke up that morning, I'm like, probably going to be another loss. We're going to try and get through this, Let's try and learn as much as we can from this loss. But we showed up and we won the first game, and I'm like, oh my god, like, we might actually be able to do this if we can keep this up.
We came in, we were prepared to win, we prepped, and then once we were up 2-0, everyone realized, wow, we can win against Na'Vi. This is the time to do it.
Like, yeah, there were 2 maps where it just felt off.
Even when we went down like 2 4-0 maps in a row, I still like felt like we can beat this team. Like, they're not crazy strong right now in the series.
I was just like, sorry guys, that was just a bad draft. Like, I just wanted to see how we could counter their triple, but it totally didn't work, and we got 0-4. And that was just like, whatever, move to the next map. And then after that, it's like, whatever.
And then we won 4-2.
Yeah, we actually took that set. It was pretty impressive.
The hard work was beginning to pay off. Some big wins under their belt, Renegades still have to climb out of the hole they currently find themselves in. With the top 4 auto-qualification to Worlds looking unlikely, we asked the Renegades what they realistically hoped to achieve in this phase.
I just want us to get as many wins as possible. I want us to come out of this with like a good feeling, like a morale victory.
The higher we are in morale, the better we perform, and I think by HRX, if we have a bit more wins up on our sleeves, I think it'll be pretty good.
My goal for the team for Worlds is to just be a better team than we are now for the Worlds qualifiers if we don't get top 4, which we probably won't, and to just keep improving and have a really good showing at the qualifiers and hopefully make it to HRX.
If we get to Worlds and somehow we get to whatever, like top 3 or whatever, like that'll be just a bonus. Like, I just want us to be happy as a whole team and just want to continue being together and just improving at the rate we are.
You just get like the taste of victory, and you just want to like, hold on to that and just keep on going from there. Just, you want more, you stay hungry.
Welcome back, guys. Thank you for watching that video. Now, as you can see, especially from that video, that emotions are high with the Renegades right now. They are definitely trying their best to continually climb, to continually grow. You heard it in the video as well. Moonchopper is looking for just an opportunity, and not just Moonchopper, but the rest of Renegades are trying to make a place for themselves at Worlds, just prepare themselves for HRS.
Yeah, I mean, I was talking to them recently, and they did say, they mentioned a little bit in the video, but they are kind of a mental team.
Right.
That they really need that momentum to go with them. Hero, come on. I know you haven't been going to the gym. It's okay, man. Now he's gonna hate me for that, but
Call
still.
them out on desk.
No, but still, I mean, they are a mental team that they need that momentum to be going with them. And another team that I feel like has had that momentum issue, at least in the past, might be fixed with the new roster, are the Knights themselves. I mean,
Right.
I know that those players have been emotional on some of their teams in the past. Splice specifically was one of those teams with Ricotta and Bunny that could kind of just fall off pretty hard if
Right.
they didn't have that momentum with them. It kind of is what led to those poor seasons in the past, in those previous seasons. But they've clearly grown a lot. I think they can handle the just adversity a little bit more in those matchups when things are going poorly. And Ricotta there, very vocal player, unless he wants his theorem to be proven true, with his aim going straight up when he doesn't talk. But he knows that vocal communication is what he
Right.
has to bring to his team.
Yeah, I mean, PK, I mean, their roster changes have proven that they can be a very formidable team in the very beginning. Ricotta had talked about it as well. We had showed an interview in the PPL that just about what he thought about, like, just the upcoming PK and how things were going, so on and so forth. With Sipsalu showing off those muscles right there. I can understand. It's hard for me to just continue talking about this when he's just putting it all out
he
there
always
like
he always
that.
talks about how he's like a 3-trick in the game. So since he doesn't want to flex in the game, he's trying to flex in real life instead.
Got you. Okay.
No, but
All right, good
Simpsons
point.
is a decently flexible player. He just likes joking about how he feels like he figured out the meta, always
Right.
playing his same characters, and all of Knights.
Okay,
I mean,
all of
they're
them.
getting amped
All right.
up.
Yeah,
They're getting amped
I
up.
like
I know.
that.
I know they're pretty active. They're
like
getting
that.
themselves all worked up, and they're going to have to be worked up if Renegades are playing as hot as they were last week, I feel.
Right.
I mean, we've seen their highs, we've seen the Knights' highs, and how, again, who's going to show up? Who slept well last night?
Right.
Who's going to have that little boost going in? Because these teams should be pretty evenly matched.
Right, yeah, I agree. We're going to take a look at the map bans as well, just to see what these two teams have taken off of the board for us. Frozen Guard, Timber Mill are gone. Those will be the first 2 map bans that are provided for us. The second 2 will be Fish Market and Warder's Gate as well. We don't really quite get a chance to see Fish Market as often as we would like to, but there's a reason as to why that is.
Yeah, definitely not as often as you see in casuals.
Right.
It's hard for tanks to make work happen on that map because of the openness, kind of the fishbowl section of the point, and teams don't want to do that, but we can see what they wanted to deal with on this first map. It's going to be Frog Isle.
Okay.
Pretty sniper-centric, a double tank-focused map as well. You always want to tank in danger and in main by the point, locking those lanes down to keep them off of your backline. A lot of pressure on your backline direct damage on this map, so we'll have to see where their priorities lie.
Well, Torvald being banned first from the Knights, and RNG almost immediately follow up with McCoy. Probably an Atlas ban as well, unless Knights might want to pick them. They might try and leave that open, force RNG to ban something else they might feel is necessary, or RNG could just altogether just get rid of the Atlas.
Yeah, and I also want to let everybody know that Io is currently available.
I don't
think we've mentioned that yet,
yes.
but Io
Yeah.
is going to be playable. She was made available last Wednesday. It's been a week since then, so
Right, yeah.
is now available. So we're going to have to see how that affects the draft. Not too much start
Right,
at the start here. I mean, Torv Makoa pretty much been, even when we had single bans, those
Right.
were the single bans back then. So not too much mix up there. But Knights banning Maeve, one of SimSalu's favorite characters, a character that Renegades also pick pretty early as well. So good ban, I think, from them. Renegades, I'm going to guess they're going to probably ban, unless they want the Atlas specifically, yeah, they're going to get rid of it.
Yeah, see.
So Ash and Khan open for both teams. We'll have to see if Knights want to start with one of them.
Okay, well, Khan is being picked first on the Knights, I believe. Just don't want to leave him too open, especially on Frog Isles. He can be very, very threatening on here with his battle shot, with all of his throws, his stuns that he might have as well. RNG decide to pick up and lock Ash for themselves. They are hovering it, but I'm pretty sure they're going to end up picking it. I'm not sure who else it is they will pick in lieu of this, unless they wanted to really just lock the NR first, or the Barrack just want to deny that access to the Knights in terms of frontliners.
I mean, Ash Khan is a really good tank composition. If Renegades don't pick it up, I have a feeling it's specifically because they have a counterplay in mind. But Ash is really strong on this map, being able to push that danger side very quickly. And Eevee's a great pair with it too, because when you push too aggressively on that cliff danger side, if you have a sniper, if you're playing that backline composition and you go that forward with Ash, you're kind of making your composition a little worse. You're zoning them onto that edge, and the rest of your team, your Strix, is just sitting there like, well, I wish I could help you. I mean, I really do. I mean, I can only help you when you're 20 HP and you're backing up screaming, "Hail me!"
Yeah. Oh,
So, still Strix going to be picked up for Knights instead. They have a better composition for being stationary, and Eevee's actually, I think, really strong into that Strix.
Right, yeah, I agree with her mobility options. It's going to be hard for Strix to try and find a way to lock her down, try and make sure that he's in the right space at the right time. Furia is being hovered. She is picked. Anara as well. Now,
you are not
I'm curious to see what Knights is going to bring in lieu of that, because they do have the Genos. They are hovering him. The Luminary buff is going to be pretty good on Barracks, going to be pretty good on Khan. Some of those characters, the frontliners can give them sneaky amounts of damage. They are hovering the Willow. They do lock it. I agree. Having a blaster on this map will be very powerful. Now, here's the big question. Who do you see being the last character that Renegades decides to pick?
They're going to do something. Okay, Kinessa.
Well, all right.
Yeah, Kinessa, I mean, it's a sniper on this map. You want to have it to contest it. I honestly, I would give the edge to Renegades if Moonchopper and Shadow can pull off the pressure on the side that they want to. That aggression on their composition with the Furia, Ashe, Eevee. Inara doesn't need quite as much love at the start of a fight. If you want to end it quickly, she gets the advantage there because of that just internal sustain. So I want to give the edge to Renegades early because of that aggressive composition. But Knights, if they play their passive kiting right, it's going to be perfect for them.
Well, this is it, the first match of the day for the PPL. We're going to throw it right down to the cashers to get us into Game 1.
Thank you, boys. The first and only match of today, the Knights and the Renegades. Dolson and Gormize are on the cast for you. It's going to be a fun one, Gore. It's the week of the Cowboy. They get 2 matches this week, and this is a prove-it week for them. You have a huge win over Na'Vi. You lose the next 2.
Yeah.
They need to have a big week this week.
And we immediately get blessed with a Rakata Invocal sniper battle. Like,
Yeah,
it's
right.
probably the best case scenario for me. You get to go to Frog Isle first, a map that I feel like has been showing up a lot less in the realm lately.
Yeah, and I'm sad about
And
it.
you get some really fun sniper fights. I think it's going to be interesting to see how those two will kind of fare. Kinessa being the last pick. Like, there's arguments for and against both of these snipers, but at the end of the day, Both of these guys are insane, so there's really no downside.
And that so often dictates kind of the pressure that one team or the other is able to put on this map. One pick, one headshot even, just a little chunk damage on the opposite side kind of forces the hand either way. And Vocal Ricotta are going to look to have their impact on this one as game one gets underway.
The biggest difference is going to be the Eevee versus the Willow, right? Willow's going to be able to get a lot of splash damage potentially around this window, around the wall to hit Kinessa. Eevee is going to be in Strix's face most of the time.
That's
and
right.
You can see in Vocal, he's just going for the charge shots, get the bonus damage from steady aim, and kind of pump that wherever you need to. Don't worry about finding the sniper. Let your flank do that.
And you got to look at, you know, sort of the Eevee and Willow as well. Very similar play styles, honestly, on both sides. But I think that Eevee maybe has a more immediate impact with that sort of play. Blink in, blink out, a little chunk damage. You have to kind of wait for the Faith Light on Willow to make that same sort of over-the-top, flanky type of impact. Renegades, though, 36% on the point. Kind of been a tug-and-pull, tug-of-war here on this first mid.
What I like is that Simsaloo is very much just standing there. He's not really impacting the fight much. He's just stopping Eevee. That's literally what his job is right now, is just play bodyguard and let Ricotta have a little bit of zone. And because of that, the two front lines, this has actually been the most, I want to say, uncontested I think I've seen two tanks stand on the point. They're just fighting each other right now. A little bit of battles on left and right, and Hero finally gets low enough.
There you go, first blood, 2 minutes into this one. That might be all the Knights need. Both teams mid-60s, but the Knights kills 1 and 2 in this set of the day. G-Bunny drops Moon Chopper as well. They're gonna maybe take that as a look to get aggressive. No contest from the Renegades. A last-minute effort there from Shadow gets him a kill, but point number 1 over to the Knights.
And now they got a good zone going as well, so the payload should start to roll a little faster at the beginning. Frog Isle is one of those maps that can snowball pretty heavy in your side, and it's normally one, like, I don't want to say Renegades try to avoid it, but it's not high on their priority list, right? It's a little bit further down their tier list. And when you get moments like this, you get an overpower off to the kill. You have 2 ults available now, or 2 ults that have been dropped now as Faith Flight came through just to get up into the air. This is 100% just trying to roll into a zone, into a push.
And they want to keep going. I mean, they use Faith Light, they use Overpower, they get a couple kills. Serini adds one on top of it. The Knights rounding now this final corner, minute and 45 seconds left. So much time on the clock, they might not even need it. Renegades already forced back into their base. Hero can't step out. He's going to catch a Ricotta shot right to the face. And Flame, though, from the Renegades might get something started. A nice snipe from Ricotta shuts down Shadow, and Vocal trades back, though. Gets the better of that sniper matchup. It's a 1-for-1 trade, contested through time and space. Goes just wide.
And a really well-timed dome shield kind of helps on 2 fronts. It helps on the fight while you're trying to continue pushing that forward, but that shield was just there to stop that headhunter from Kinessa being able to get damage onto Zerini. And Zerini's been playing super aggressive. You can see he goes down now, but I don't think he's gone down without a fight every single time. Like, he's just getting in their face, making sure this barrack is a problem.
And Renegades have to burn everything. All of their ultimates used here just to keep this from going through. There's still a minute left, Gore. Ricotta as well keeps the foot down. Shadow already loses his life here. Renegades, 5 seconds without him, and Vocal needs to find the shot. 120 health left. He does it. Payload still inches away. Zerini's going to drop the shield, hang out behind that, mitigate a lot of that sniper presence from Invocal. And that's all they need. They get the kill onto Hero. Moon Chopper's not in range. And the Knights off to a flying 2-0.
So when we were kind of looking at this matchup and preparation for the week, right? The biggest thing that always stands out, like when I look at Renegades, I always feel bad because my mind almost immediately jumps to Moon Chopper and whether or not his performance is going to come through. And him versus G-Bunny is an interesting matchup, but really, I think the biggest strength that the Knights have in this one specifically is Zerini. Zerini is very consistent in his play, and as we just saw in that round, can be aggressive with it. We've seen him be passive with it. He is just very stalwart, very consistent as a point tank. Hero, on his best days, is one of the best, if not, sometimes I might even give him the best frontline that we have seen in the league. But the problem is you're getting that 2 games out of every single set. It's just not happening all the time. Right now he's 0-4, and his presence on the point needs to be felt a little more, I think, to ensure Renegades being able to kind of stabilize in this map.
You're right, and you know, the story continues for Invocal. 4-0-1 for him to start off this round. The Renegades will have fast cap, 4% per tick, if they're even able to get onto the point. Ricotta dropping off Shadow, the flanker, no more for the Renegades here. Same story as last time, though. They find the first couple of picks. They're able to convert that into pressure. The Knights forcing back the Renegades, and they're going to get viral in the overpower. This is dire already. 57, 60% now for the Knights.
And just being able to isolate them like that recognizes at the very end, who are we going to stagger? Let's stagger the support, then the front line. They just make sure that they're so perpetually pushed back in their base that, I mean, no one on Renegades can get even close to the point.
I think Reptar is shaking in his boots right now. He's unhappy with his pregame pick, at least the way that this one has started. 3-0 for the Knights. 5 minutes, 50 seconds into this game.
To be fair, he'd be shaking in your boots.
That's right. Well, he's in my shoes right now. You're right.
So Reptar is shaking in your boots right now with the way the Knights are starting this one out.
That's true, Gore. You're absolutely right. I feel them quaking down there. They're rounding this corner here. 2 minutes left to end this game for the Knights. And Flame from the Renegades is going to start this one off well. They're going to find Cuss Cutie. The rest of them, though, are going to take that as a cue to back off, and they're going to do just that. If nothing else, the Renegades have just bought themselves a little bit of space. Much better than what we saw last time around.
So here's the hard part about defending on Frog Isle. I think Frog Isle does lend itself maybe to have two places where you can defend. Not necessarily choke points like you would see in other maps. Like Stone Keep, there's a very obvious you stop here. Jaguar Falls, there's a very obvious you stop here. Stone Keep or Frog Isle doesn't really have that. Like there's a you slow down over here, and if we're good, maybe we stop you. And then you're pushing towards the base. It's just such a small and short push that defending is the most difficult I think it could be on this map. It's why it's so snowbally. But the Renegades have started it about as fast as you can and in a great spot around that first corner. The problem is maintaining this, right? And being willing to fall back, defend the next corner, fall back, just defend it at base. Because a minute, that's extra time. You have so much extra time to find this fully pushed in.
And, you know, the danger is always on defense. You push too far forward, they're able to get a clean sweep or something close to it. Suddenly, they're knocking on your doorstep when it seemed like you were going to be able to hold them, and something similar happens here. 3 picks. He's able to get the Knights in a range. Cuss Cutie's going to toss out through time and space, assert dominance for Chopper. Drops down as well. G-Bunny maybe finding death here. The shots from Heroes are good. It looks like the Renegades, maybe just on the back of 1 kill here, are going to be able to stall this one out. Shadow finds Simsaloo as well. Ricotta still alive, trying to cause some trouble. Renegades, though, are able to win this fight. Maybe Zerini, last man standing here for the Knights on his way out.
I think the worst feeling you can have as a tank is this moment when you're like, okay, well, yeah, I'm super survivable. I did the tank thing right.
I lived.
Everyone else is gone, and what do I do? 5-1 now for Zerini, but he's been aggressive. I mean, you can see he's the top damage on his team, 55,000, 20,000 less than in Vocal.
Ooh, Ricotta the flank.
Jeez.
Wait. It's a Strix flank. He's going to maybe find a kill on the Viral. He does it. That might be all the Knights need. Invocal, though, he turns it around. Good shots from Invocal, maybe saving the game here for the Renegades. Shadow as well gets aggressive, drops G-Bunny off. The Kinessa's starting to fire on all cylinders here. Shadow with a double kill, Invocal with 2. And what an important shot that was. A good flank for Makata, and Vocal could not miss in that moment.
It's one of the only moments where switching to your pistol as fast as you can for Strix hurts Ricotta.
Yeah.
He thought he had the shot. Like, you see him scope in, and then he switches his weapon. He just thought his fire rate was going to be slightly faster than it was. And when it's between 2 guys like Ricotta and Invocal, that's literally the difference. It's just I was 0.2 seconds off of firing this weapon, and that 0.2 seconds has eliminated me and given Invocal an 8-3 and 2 slash line. Still not 30,000 damage above the next highest, by the way. Well, so Zerini got 1,000 damage in that time. Invocal got 10,000.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, that's a big old oof. Hero at 2-5-6 now on a 7 streak. I mean, talk about the turnaround from him as well. So he has 8 affected kills, a 7 streak. So, you know, he was 1-4 before that, and now he's 2-5-6. So he's turned his game around as well. The Knights could capture this point to end the game. The Renegades need to find a way to get the first pick in these fights. They've constantly been fighting at a disadvantage. Maybe up and over. That's one way to do it. Good shot from Invocal. No more healing or damage amp for the Knights here. 51%. They might have to back off. Staying aggressive, though. Just mitigating as much as they can. Good shots from Invocal into the Ice Storm as well. Shadow, though, double kill from Simsaloo. Maybe turns this one around. Invocal with the jumping shot. A triple kill from the Willow. It's Sniper versus Willow in this case. either team trying to come out on top, but it's the Knights who are still on the point.
And Vocal still just following the path of his own story, doing literally everything in his power to keep things going for him, but he's going to get overpowered because of it.
It's got to be it, Gore. That's got to be it. I mean, the Seismic Crash may come through. Ricotta as well drops Invocal. No more damage, no more Invocal, no more Shadow. You just need to clean up the scraps here through time and space is not going to connect. If the frontliners can stay alive, which they can't at the moment, the Renegades may have a shot here. It looks like Moonchopper on the back line is the last one standing. The Renegades, a little bit of fight, but the trades at the end go the way of the Knights.
And Ricotta just beautifully pushes forward, right? There's a moment of stealth where he's like, I could kill Hero right here. And then you see that better judgment come through, like, I'm also at 200 health. I'm going to keep walking, out of combat heal, zone out Invocal because we've seen what he can do in these fights, and just keep ourselves rolling, keep the momentum going forward, and keep everybody on the team comfortable. They deal with the tank because you've got 4 members left over there, and you just clean up Frog Isle.
Well, they're in their booth. They're rolling up their sleeves. They're obviously feeling confident here today. Game 1 is a good example of that. I mean, 4-1 on Frog Isle. The only point you give up is not pushing in the payload. It's not like you gave up any mid fights. You know, this is a newly revitalized Knights roster, and they're looking clean still here today.
And it's one of those things, like last week they had their off week, right, to be able to kind of sit down and prep more. But, I mean, they kind of got run through the gauntlet at the very beginning. It's like, all right, we announced, like, during MSI, we've dropped these 2 players.
Yeah.
Going into this split, they're like, okay, these are the 2 we picked up. And then, okay, we've got all these matches, like, immediately back-to-back weeks. One's our doubleheader. Now they're relaxing, and it seems to show that they put in the work.
Yeah, they're feeling confident. The Renegades need to find something to turn this one around. You get hit first, you got to swing back. We'll find out if they do that right after this.
iNap, powering the control room for the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back to the PPL, guys. Pittsburgh Knights taking the first game for themselves on Frog Isle. Very interesting match. Both teams were well played, but the score ended up being 4-1 on the first map.
Yeah, I think they just were able to stem the aggression coming in. Like, the inflame pushes never really found what Renegades wanted, I felt. They weren't able to kind of cross that gap and get onto the sniper in the back line, which, as we know, is a very big priority on this. I thought the damage was flipped there. I thought Ricotta did 8,000 damage. Right, I'm like, I don't know what game I was just watching. But no, still, good damage across the board by the Knights. Actually, Zarini ended up top damaging, and wow, Invocal.
Yeah.
Almost at 6 digits, 11-4 for his team. But I mean, that makes sense. He was the one that wasn't going in and trying to make space, right? So he was just kind of consistently laying damage on these people who were stationary, trying to stop the aggression from the rest of the Renegades.
Right, exactly. But you can't always talk about one without the other. Think about Ricotta for a second on Frog Isle. We see him being so prominent. You always have a sniper battle. You see he's in these positions to actually get these headshots and get this damage. And he's just all over the place throughout the rest of this game. He's just at the right spot at the right time. But him and Invocal were pretty much like, I think of this as like the battle of the snipers, like throughout pretty much this entire game.
Yeah, we can't ignore the fact that his team was making a lot of space by stopping the aggression, but the fact is, even with that space being made for you, you still have to hit your shots. You know, if your team's stopping them, but you're missing everything, it's not going to matter. And Ricotta was confirming shots absolutely when he needed to. This was a clean little double from him that almost flipped the defense. I think made it a little
Right.
bit, definitely a little easier for them to keep that fight under control. And the man himself, again, I want to see how much the Ricotta Theorem was proven that game, how much he was talking versus how well his aim was. There was a fight or two where I'm like, all right, he must be talking a lot because he
Right.
missed 1 or 2 in a row, but still, he did exactly what his team needed him to do, keeping things under control, keeping the damage on Frog Owl, which is, you need your sniper to perform on that map.
Right, exactly. PK just doing so well overall, not only with their positioning, but just their momentum. We're going to take a look at the maps here, see what we have in store for us for the second game. Stone Keep is being picked. Very interesting. Now, I believe this is the Renegades pick, correct?
Yes.
Right. Okay. So this
Yeah.
is the Renegades pick. Since I believe it is this, since they lost, they actually do get the map pick. Now they also have first pick in this.
Well, when it's the first 2 maps, go to for the team that wins a coin flip, and then the second team, and
right, right.
then it's
You're right.
loser's pick
You're right.
after
You're
that.
right. You're right.
So this is still Renegades' map, whether they had won or lost the first map. But Ban's very quick. I mean, this
Oh,
is
yeah, they already know what they
Tor of
want.
Genos on Renegades, Makoa Atlas for Knights. Pretty standard second ban. You do not want to give them that. Those very strong, powerful off tanks. But Ash, still a strong, powerful off tank. Not enough bans to deny every single one for them. Renegades deciding to go that way and giving up Khan to the Knights again.
Yeah, Ash is taken, but the Knights actually opt to go for Barrett and Willow in this case. Now I can understand having strong point presence on this map, especially having a blaster such as Willow to be able to help control that bridge to make sure they could vie and really fight for high ground in that scenario. A lot of AoE damage coming out on that fight, but RNG in this case decided to get Khan. They also decided to pick up the Furia. Now that's what's really interesting to me, is that they do opt to go for these characters, but they aren't bad characters. You typically see Khan.
Yeah, I mean, that's another really aggressive composition. I mean,
Right, exactly.
Ash Khan, 2 of the top most forward off tanks, and then you have Furia, the Inflame, to keep them boosted, keep them moving forward. So very aggressive comp from them. Knights coming in with Maeve, Willow as a DPS composition, and I like that on this map, I feel. I think Maeve can keep her distance, Willow can keep her distance, and that's what you need against the double off-tank aggression that Renegades are going to be coming in with. So smart by them. They also have the Inara too, so 2 point tanks that will kind of keep things locked down and keep them from coming in and breaking through that front line.
Yeah, for sure. They are hovering. They're thinking about it a little bit. Renegades just really trying to figure out what it is they want to go for here on Stone Keep. They might need somebody to deal with that Willow, deal with that Maeve, so I can imagine a possibly a potential, a potential Cassie here. A potential, I was thinking Leon as well. Just she can also burst those shields from Bear. She can also be very strong with controlling their point presence, controlling high ground. And we do need, at least I feel like, other than Khan, you do need some sort of hit scan to be able to deal with Willow and Maeve at the same time.
I'm thinking Cassie purely because they need to get onto the DPSs. They need to break through that front line. In a big game, Cassie into a Nara Barrack, I think, would be very impactful, keeping that consistent long-range damage up.
Hey,
Victor going towards RNG, a character that I know Invocal likes, and that he'll be able to do a lot towards the Willow Maeve, and Cassie the other one. So Invocal's Victor most likely going to be what's dealing with the DPS, and Shadow's Cassie going to be dealing with the tanks, keeping them out of the way, trying to keep them from stalling the aggression from Moonchopper and Hero.
Yeah, so Victor is being covered. He is locked in along with Cassie. That actually shook me up a little bit. I know what that noise was, and I forgot that Cassie had a bird, and I was like, what? Wait, what was that? That I just heard. I was like, my goodness, what? Anyway, Maeve was the last character that the Knights decided to pick. They are going to try and lock in one more character. They're taking a little bit of time to think about it, try and go through their options in this case. And really, I can sort of see them
My guess is like Ying.
Right, yeah, exactly. That's, some staying power. Okay, well, Grover can work too in this case. We have seen it happen before.
That makes sense. I mean, passive spam, holding, if they're just going to be holding back and kiting away, and the Willows on their side too, they're able to kind of keep their distance, keep up that poke, and keep running away. That's going to be pretty good, but I mean, the barrage coming in, if they're clumping up to get these heals, is going to do a lot more than it would have otherwise. So I think good on the Grover pick by the Knights. It definitely shows the playstyle they want to take onto the Stone Keep.
Right, exactly. But here's the thing. We've talked about it before. We've also seen it be the case as well. Once those COT 2s start coming online, once we have those issues of people prioritizing Cauterize, and making sure that the Grover doesn't really have that much healing, it can be a little bit of a struggle if this is going to, like, the score is like 2-2 or maybe like 3-3 in some cases or some situations.
Yeah, it's hard to side against Victor on this map, but I think Knights' passive comp is going to be really tough for the Renegades to break through.
I agree. Well, let's throw it down to the casters for game 2.
Game number 2, Stone Keep, Renegades and the Knights. After a convincing map number 1 on Frog Isle, the Renegades go searching for their first point here in this set. They have bright spots, and Vocal being the brightest on Frog Isle. you put him on Victor Gore. I mean, there's some merit to that on this map. We've seen, that he's been able to turn a game around. But you're fighting against Ricotta on a Mave, Simsalou back on the Willow.
Yeah.
That's a tough battle.
Honestly, I have to echo what you heard Kresnik say, where it just comes down to the fact that it's kind of hard to argue up against Victor on this map. He just does really well. He controls it very well. Very similar, you roll back, I guess, a year now, and you watch Kinessa, maybe Strix pop their heads out on this map for good reasons. A little further than a year. But it's also hard for me to bet with Grover at this point, right?
Sure.
He's very good. If the Knights close this out in 4, then the Knights are going to be able to just at that point, they steamroll it, right? Mm-hmm. The longer the game goes, the more it's going to hurt. They get this Willow to help facilitate their Grover play, so there's no counter on the other side, but it still feels kind of like there's just enough stacked against them as time goes on that they have to seal the deal.
Do you think that maybe that stacks against you, though? Are you revealing too much about how you want to play on Stone Keep with a Grover? I mean, grenade AoE. I mean, is that too revealing for the Knights?
I think if it was if this is Split Stone Quarry, in my mind, it's openly revealing. You're like, well, you're going to stand over here. This is the only place you can fight. Because of the layout for Stone Keep, you can actually kind of jump and get some weird heals. You can move around. It's a little more versatile for Grover because of how wide the circle is and because he can heal through the walls, through the floor, as long as you're in the right area. So that's kind of where I think your eye should be kept for him, is where exactly he's going to be standing. Because we've seen, I think it was last week, Virtus Pro, Vex popped in a whirlwind, just jumping into the air, trying to keep everyone healed up as best he could. Those are the moments that I think Grover will make the difference.
Yeah, and I think it's going to be a fun one to watch. I mean, I think my thing with the Renegades has been, when all of them can kind of show up and play as a team, that's when you get your 4-2s over Na'Vi. I mean, the storyline has so often been, and Vocal is kind of popping off, the rest of the team somewhat struggling, and we've seen moments where they can all kind of come together. Hero had a stretch in the last game where he played very well. He was on a 7. He had 7 straight, affected kills in that one, and that was the point that the Renegades got. I think it's just so hard for them to find that one cohesive kind of team fight, organized team group. Whereas the Knights, seems like they're really starting to fire on all cylinders.
The Knights, so first split, were already good at drafting. They added someone who knows drafting even better. They add 2 players that facilitate a different style of play, different kind of communication. That's Simsalou, that's Zarini, to teach them how do these European teams do it? What's so good about NIP? What's so good about Na'Vi? Why is it that the all-NA teams couldn't keep up?
Right.
And they taught them the lessons, right? On Renegades, you have 5 amazing players, but only one of them's consistent, and that's Invocal. The story for Invocal is literally every single game he does well, and it's despite a loss. It could be a 4-0, a 4-1, a 4-3. He's always going to look good. Everyone else has their moments, but it's just the stars aligned in week 1, and we have to wonder, did the stars just align in week 1 and you're not going to be able to do it again, or is this is your proving ground? This is the chance to show it wasn't a fluke.
This is your prove it to me match. Zarini, though, starting off this game the way the last game ended, frontline dominance, and Vocal's able to stay alive, return a kill here, but Simsalou, he's staying aggressive. Oh, has to back off of that one. I thought he might try to take that one, but Vocal is threatening enough that he's gonna try to back off, and Vocal, though, is not the one with the last laugh. In this case, the Knights force back the Renegades that are on the point.
And they just don't have enough, I think, to deal with all of the pressure. I mean, Simsalou on his own has just been able to kind of control doorways exactly like that. Put a dead zone down and say, okay, I dare you to come through. You have high ground control almost permanently. And now G-Bunny, even though he's on someone that's not usually very aggressive in Barrack, can do just as much damage, can get just as aggressive and control you because of the turrets.
I mean, there's so much more at play, but you look at what G-Bunny just did. I'm going to walk around this corner, drop down a shield, and 3 members of the Renegades are going to back off because I'm just demanding that much. I mean, again, there's more at play, but that's essentially the way that plays out, is one champion is controlling the zone of 3 others on the Renegades, and they're just not able to move forward, not even able to get, they might have had 3% on that mid fight. G-Bunny stays alive here. Double kill from Hero, answered back though. Nice double kill from Simsalou, and suddenly this payload's moving a little faster than I think the Renegades expected.
And I'm going to say that's the first time that the Knights have really been punished for one of those aggressive plays. I've seen Simsalou, I've seen Ricotta, I have seen G-Bunny all get down to 200 health and then just walk away. Someone else on the team comes and takes off and alleviates all of the pressure on them. They heal up out of combat, or thanks to their own support in Cuss, and then all of a sudden they're right back in the fight. Now you have a couple more deaths finally popping up for them, but I mean, they're not sealing the deal on the ones they need to get rid of. Simsalu's on a 6 streak right now, and there's almost no pressure on him. Look how low he is.
Yeah, and that's a great whirlwind as well. Zarini finally finds death, and Vocal from the back line. Able to pick off Ricotta here. Simsalu and just a couple others holding down this choke point here. Forced to bowling ball out there is G-Bunny. Renegades seem to have stopped this payload push. They used a lot there, assert dominance, scout, inflame, barrage, all thrown out. Pittsburgh did use a little bit as well, whirlwind and midnight, but still 3 big ultimates to push this one in.
And this comes back to the conversation we were having on Frog Isle, right? Frog Isle doesn't necessarily have any choke points. It has slowdown points. This is the choke point for Stone Keep. This is where it typically stops, and they just busted right through. They just took a battering ram and slammed the door down. Luckily, you answered back and got rid of Zarini.
Yeah, nearly dropping his hero. Ends up finding the shots is Simsalo. Shadow needs to stay alive here. Dodge rolling away into the dome shield, though. Simsalo with a double kill, finally drops at the hands of Viral. G-Bunny still alive. Moonchopper and Viral trying to hold this one in the balance. Ricotta's still around. Ricotta has a double kill on the Mave here. G-Bunny just trying to plug away. Can't find the shots just yet. Zarini is still around. And all you need is the Mave and Inara, apparently, and Hero's gonna dash down. The respawns will be here from the Renegades, but they get the final kill, and they push it through to make it 2-0.
That was that awkward moment of, I have to wait for my team to respawn, but I also have to stop them and keep them in overtime. But also there's still 18 seconds left on the clock anyway, so it's not even going to get us overtime if I don't do this right. Like, so much is at play there for Hero. And the biggest issue, I mean, Knights. They've got the Barrack, they've got the NR, they've got the premier survivable tanks, the premier point tanks in the league, the ones that we have seen kind of control the, at least the objective, the best. And while you have a lot of aggression on the side of Renegades, in that moment with just Hero, it's, I can overpower one of the 3 bodies that are on this objective. Like, there's just so little that you can do. It's the most helpless feeling I think you could have.
And they used so many ultimates, honestly, with about 1.5 minutes left, and the Knights only had to use a couple, Whirlwind and Midnight. And they still had a lot. Faithlight, Dome Shield, Seismic Crash, all prepared them to push that one through, and that's exactly what happened. Hero moves forward yet again, already forced back out. Barrage from Invocal finds a little damage. No kills just yet, though, and Flame is going to come out here for the Renegades. You hope that you're able to win this fight if you're going to use an ultimate of that variety here. Shadow hitting a shot. A nice double kill from the Cass. He's going to dodge roll through here. One more is all he needs. An unofficial triple, maybe a quadra for Shadow. G-Bunny finds the final shot. Assert dominance, burns away on the high ground, and Vocal with a double kill as well. The hit scanners are doing it here for the Renegades.
That was the Kanga set Game 5 Shadow, right? That's the one where it's just like, we are not going to lose this game like this kind of mentality that he can bring. And it's just, when that performance comes through, you have an inflame on you, there's nothing that can stop you. You're going to melt anyone and everyone. But unfortunately, because of the composition and mobility, you can see a touch at least to be able to get someone onto the point, stop them at 89%. That's with a full comeback mechanic coming down in their favor. And now with Faithlight, don't know if they did enough. I don't know if they got it quick enough.
They're forced back here. If they can find one trade, one team fight win, they'll likely get their first point here on Stone Keep. Viral getting rid of Ricotta opens up the rest of the floodgates here. Zarini's the next to go down. Healer playing aggressively here. Once you clean up Simsalo, the clouds look much clearer, and the Renegades find themselves a point on Stone Keep, pushing for number 2.
Now being able to kind of come through and showcase their aggression, they get their inflame back as well, so when they hit that choke point, that's one of those ults that you can throw out, typically generate fast enough that you're not going to be too worried about it. And the question becomes, how far can you make it? How controlling can you make this push to convince us that it's not a comeback mechanic win, it's a team win overall? Like, if there was another team fight there, you would have won it a 3rd time. You would have been able to keep the Knights at bay and still capture that objective.
The secondary fight here after the mid is all going the red team. Renegades forced back, didn't use too much to try to break through that one. They'll have assert dominance to cap off the other 3 soon enough. Those mid fights, you know, you see Hero walk in, shield up. I mean, that's such a big thing with Khan, playing around that shield cooldown. And he'll walk through, all the damage will go on to him. He'll be within an inch of his life. But this time he was able to stay alive and allowed time and space, I think, for Shadow and Vocal to find some kills, and that's a big difference. A little bit of a flip-flop here, though. Puts them actually in behind a lot of the Knights. They're closer to the Knights base than they are right now, fighting kind of backwards towards the payload. Might be able to find some kills here. Moonchopper's going to drop. You have a threat on the back side here. Simsolo, one more shot will do it onto him. The Renegades are going to lose these intermittent trades.
That was the merry-go-round style of fight that I expect at the beginning of a round. Like, okay, we know they're going to go for high ground. We're going to send 3 of you right, then you're going to come up behind them, go through banana, and flank them. But then it's like, oh, but we're also on a payload push, and like when you get around like that, it's almost, do you just want to try pushing the payload? How much control can you get? Obviously, it's given them just enough to be able to regain some of this ground.
Nice Shadow.
Shadow is just popping off in the best possible way for the team, but it's still not enough.
Yeah, Zerini popped off in the opposite direction. A triple kill for Shadow gets canceled out by a double for Zerini. But 3 greater than 2 in this case as the payload continues its slow march forward. 20 seconds left, might go into overtime. The Knights, 5 ultimate strong, Renegades almost there. Good assert dominance, could turn this one around as well. Moonchopper looking for it. They're going to start this off with an overpower. They're going to look to get aggressive now, and the Inflame just confirms that. If they can find a kill onto Zerini, so much of that presence stalling out the payload is lost. A kill onto Ricotta in the backline as well. Could do it, and Vocal's good on the shots, but you have no more Shadow. Cutie finds a kill onto Hero as well. He drops around the back corner. And the intermittent trades in this case are all going the way of the Knights. A little bit of a split fight from the Renegades. Still, game point for the Knights.
Kind of the opposite of the beginning of that round when you had mentioned popping the Inflame. You hope to win those fights. Once that's enabled, if you aren't, someone's not doing their job right? And unfortunately in this case it was when Ricotta came around, Inflame gets popped, and he just kind of recognized where he needed to be. And that was right on top of Shadow. I can't let this Cassie get further ahead. Big game with Inflame is going to kill off Zerini, kill off G-Bunny, and just be generally bad for our team. So he kills him off immediately. It doesn't matter that he trades out his life, because while Invocal's distracted trying to keep Shadow alive, everybody else on the night is just burning down. Viral, Moonchopper, and Hero.
Yeah, the frontliners for the Renegades. Such a hard time in this game. 2-7, 5-8, 2-6. Can't really ignore the assists, but it sounds more impactful when you just say kills and deaths in this case. Hero's going to opt for a similar strategy this time with the Con. One more shot from Shadow will actually get rid of Simsolo, and that's good. He hears the Faith Light come out. Moonchopper is going to be the one to do it instead. Assert dominance as well. Drops. Ricotta, the last damage dealer in this one for the Knights, is going to try to find some daggers onto the Renegades. Hero with another kill on a G-Bunny. Renegades in good footing here as this intermittent mid-fight starts off.
See, what I love is Shadow has fully adopted the kill 'em dead strategy, where it's just, I'm going to stop caring about anything else in this game. I'm just going to go shoot at them and see what they can do, or what we can do in this case. Find all of these moments, and then, I mean, in that push, he was in front of Hero. He was in front of Invoke. He was in front of everybody else, and it's just those moments where it's, we're going to be aggressive, and we're going to cause trouble for you. But they gave up one important thing. That's a 5-man rush on high ground. I just checked that point percentage at the very end. It was, what, 78% for the Knights there?
You are, as when we jump back into game, I mean, the Renegades do not have a lot of time to try to turn this one around. It might maybe a 2-for-1, 3-for-2. I think they have technically the numbers in the trades, but you're right. They just station somebody. The Knights just stick somebody on the point. Zerini, I'm assuming, on the Inara. And they're just garnering point percentage the entire time. And it's so now, like where we stand in time, it's can the Renegades turn kind of the opening that they have into a successful mid.
And if you give them, let's say 3 seconds, let's say the trades go in we're going in their favor. They have 3 seconds, they get on this point, that's going to be about 90%, and even more if no one stops it any sooner. You get to 93, 96, 99, whichever, that you have so much time to come back in and win another fight. Right here, the best thing you could do is just fall back. It's all three. You put up the barricade, you stay safe, and figure out this fight. But you have to win on the side as well. And Shadow and Vocal, they're not looking to let anyone out alive.
Shadow needs to be careful here. He's very focused on this church side. Renegade's going to pop the Inflame. 81% for them. They're going to look to end this one now, try to get their second point on the board. Shots into the back of Simsolo. If you can get rid of the Willow, this becomes much easier, but not if you're going to lose Hero as well. Shadow hitting all of his shots. Just needs one last one onto Ricotta. But the pounce is good enough to get the Maeve out of danger. Barrage maybe just to seal things off here, and Vocal very, very low. And the Knights, they're standing on the point the entire time. The Renegades get the kills, but they don't touch the point.
So that comes down to two things in my mind. One, very EU style of play. We're going to play from the objective. It's the way we've seen Na'Vi. Like, I mean, you go back to the beginning of Split 1. That's how Na'Vi thrashed the Renegades then, and that's how it kind of feels right now. It's just we're going to play from the objective and force you to make the call. Like, if we get 93% before anybody answers me, then you have 3 seconds that we can't stand on the objective alone, that you have to focus on it. Like it becomes a 6-man working for the Knights there. And then the other thing that worked in their favor is the draft. They had 2 premier point tanks. Yeah, you killed Zerini. Cool. Now we're just going to move Barrick in.
I mean, that's tough. Back-to-back 4-1s. The Renegades go down, especially there towards the end. I mean, you're winning potentially that mid-fight. I mean, you have all the numbers in your favor. You just don't have anyone to get a touch there. I think there were some trades onto the frontliners of the Renegades. Maybe nobody around to touch it. At the end of the day, though, the Knights are the ones who find a win. Up 2-0 now in this set over Stone Keep. Game 3 right after this.
Alienware, the official PC provider of the Paladins Premier League.
Welcome back to the PPL, guys. PK, aka Pittsburgh Knights, taking Game 2 onto Stone Keep. Now, that was very, very close. We saw a lot of really good play coming out from both teams that match.
Yeah, I mean, it was a 4-1, but it didn't feel like it. You know, it really felt back and forth. I mean, in that last fight, everyone was like, Shadow, watching him the entire time as he was just confirming shot after shot. But then, you know, it goes down. The tanks go down, and that's their job to contest that point. Keep that fighting is more important. And we can look at the stats to see exactly how hard PK were kind of focusing on the tanks. I felt on the side of the Renegades, and they were definitely doing their job. I felt that they had to be pressuring, they had to be capping, but it's just so hard to do it into the composition the Knights had. Ricotta staying alive a lot in the back. Simsalou just constantly outputting damage. G-Bunny about 70k damage just above Ricotta, who was mostly doing his job of harassing and kiting on the sides. And looking at the KDAs, we can see maybe how hard the tanks were getting focused on the side of the Renegades. Because I felt they had a really hard time making that room. And yeah, 6-9 for Hero, 3-8 for Moon. It's so hard for them to get into the face of the Pittsburgh Knights.
Yeah, it's really, really hard just to take a look at all of that, really. I mean, Zerini is an extremely pivotal player on the Knights, though, playing the Inara 9, 7, and 11, doing really, really well. But before even just Zerini, we were talking about it before as well. We were watching it with production. Simsalou. Simsalou, such a huge, huge player in this gameplay. Like you see, it first initially started off like this. It was the wall from Inara, and then you just see him just start to go in. He's going to put down like a dead zone right there in the middle, and you just see him just rushing in at the right place at the right time.
I was joking around about him flexing in real life because he wasn't going to flex in game, and this is his second Willow game in a row and his second good performance. So maybe we'll see a third one coming up. Maybe Renegades will change up their bands a little bit to deal with it. But yeah, ever since the buffs, man, Willow has been just a monster, I feel. Getting that splash damage around corners, chasing you down, and 100% anti-heal. Strong anti-heal early in the game has always been good. Think back to the Death and Taxes days. I don't want to, but I will for the sake of this discussion, that having that immediate healing shutdown super early in the game lets you burn those tanks faster, leading to, I think, the stats that the Knights on Renegades had.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I mean, the blaster damage coming out from Stone Keep, I said it before in the beginning, just a little bit, like after, just after we got into the game, about how much the blast damage is going to play a very huge, pivotal role in Stone Keep, especially with that Willow. It's just so important that you have at least. I feel like Willow's just in a good spot right now. You literally had just mentioned it. I feel like they're doing really, really good overall. Just in like just in terms of being able to control a lot of space, having dead zone, having pretty much like an immediate cauterize.
And it's crazy because people were not, when you saw the changes, you weren't thinking that it was going to be so massive, but it really shows like how tight of a line you have to walk when you're balancing characters in this game, because the Fate Flight changes were pretty big for a high skill cap because you can avoid more ultimates. You used to be able to counter Fate Flight with Barrage, and now you're fast enough to get out of the way, but those little minor changes immediately catapult Willow so high up because of these people that are playing this. And really quick, I also want to mention, because we didn't get a chance to highlight him too much, I mentioned it for a sec, Shadow in that game
100%,
on Cassie
100%.
was playing phenomenally. I also want to say that he's wearing my hoodie.
Yeah.
He actually.
You did say
I
that
let him
before
borrow
when
it
you got
once.
here this
I let him
morning.
borrow it once, and he's been wearing it. And apparently, it powered him up. So
That's a sweet.
props to the design team whoever made that hoodie. But this mid specifically for him was fantastic. I felt his ability. He was just hitting so many shots. I remember when he chased down Simsaloo, who dropped from the stairs. I said, "Oh, he's feeling himself."
Oh, 100%.
I mean, you don't chase that kill in the open unless you're really feeling like you're going to be hitting everything that you fire. And he was, I felt like he was doing phenomenally that whole game. But again, the focus on the tanks, even though I felt like Hero and Moon were in the places they need to be, the pressure from the Knights, their focus fire was too much for them to overcome.
Yeah, I mean, getting burned down, like, eventually. Like, the tanks can only just live so much. You had the Khan, you had the Ashe, but Inara was just, the Inara and their staying power was just too strong on the side of PK. Jaguar Falls being the third map that they're deciding to go for. And this, once again, this is Renegade's pick that they decide to opt for Jaguar Falls.
And Jaguar Falls is a small map, a map where you can play kind of everything is what we keep saying about it. But so if we're going to see IO on any map, it would be this one. And I mentioned Renegades having to adapt to the Willow picks from Knights, and they already have. First banning Willow here means that they just completely deny that kind of corner pressure. I'm curious if they're going to early pick Pip. I know it's kind of a shot in the dark to say that now, but I feel like maybe they want to deny it from the Knights, just keep Simsaloo from having that ideal backline spammy blasters on a map like this.
Yeah, I agree. Renegades decide to opting for Khan first. Knights actually going for Ashe and Maeve. There's a little close in zoom on his Rudy's chest just for a little bit, but Maeve is being over right now. Potential second pick. It is a second pick for them. They want to either give it to Ricardo or Simsaloo. One of those two could definitely pop off on the Maeve, having such good control. Now, Kresnik, I'm not going to hold you to 100%, but I'm ready to see the IO. You've said it.
I think it could be, if any map is going to work with the pocket strategy, it would be a map like Jaguar Falls. You know, it's flat, and the 40% speed boost in IO's kit will be enough to kind of move them across. And shot in the dark, I threw it at the start, and it just went through the hoop. Pip picked really early, specifically to keep the backline spammers away from Simsaloo, because he's been doing so much on the last two maps. He was doing well on Frog Isle as Willow into a sniper. That's not easy. And just they know how much he's going to do if they keep that open, keep that in the air.
Genos says locked along with Cassie. Genos with the Luminary buff. I always say it once, say it 1,000 times. This is why, part of the reason as to why he is good. Cassie is picked to deal with those shields for both Khan and Barrett, being able to blow them up. And we mentioned it before on Stonekeep, why Cassie was being able to be picked over a few other characters. That big game damage is going to play a very pivotal role in controlling the point fight. If they need to burst them down, they can burst them down. But the same can be said for Renegades as well. We were talking a little bit about Genos as well before, we ended up going live about how if you focus him down, if you focus his targets down long enough, they won't be able to actually have the healing to output and continually just live in certain fights.
Yes, being able to spread damage against Genos comps is really good because he can't spread heals. I mean, he can mark people, slowly do it, but he can't quickly tap someone up, quickly get somebody else. So having that AoE cleave, I think, from the Pip is going to be strong against that. And I think Knights' comp, though, they're looking really aggressive at the moment, at least, with the Ashe and the Maeve being able to engage with that. Furia BK closing out the draft for Renegades, so double blaster coming out from them, and that's, you could see that with the flexibility in the draft. I mean, Invocal has been a top-tier blaster and a top-tier direct damage for years. I remember watching him get this is an absolute throwback, but I remember watching him get a godlike on Drogo's on Splitstone against G2 when he was on the bottom team in the league, and just being like, why how is he doing this? Like, with the team that's not really supporting him, and just, again, he has everything that he has every character in his kit. Invocal does, so don't even know where he's going to end up here, but Knights closing out their draft, it looks like, with an Inara, so that to me says they want to end these fights quickly.
Yeah, that's what it says to me as well. I could definitely understand that, but you also brought the fact of Renegades going double blaster, Bomb King, Pip, both of them having so much aerial control, aerial
He's also an area denier.
Yeah, okay, yeah.
He also denies the area.
Thank you. Yes, that's what I've been trying to say the whole time. Appreciate it, Kresnik. Both of them being able to control both of these rooms, these choke points, these hallways, is going to be very, very important against the Knights team. And I also like the Pip as well, purely because if it's not just for the blaster damage he can give out, it's for his evil mojo capability as well. If he catches people off, right time, right place, the rest of his team will be able to follow up and pretty much annihilate them.
One thing about Renegades, too, is they're actually kind of weak to Midnight right now. They have no ways to go CC immune to cleanse that. So that's going to make the aggression from Knights really strong really early. And I think Renegades, they want to make these games and these fights go long. And Genos doesn't have the same staying power.
Right.
So now that they've given the Knights a very quick way to end fights with Midnight, assert dominance, aggression, it's going to be rough for RNG unless they really focus down that Anar and then play that objective control so they can't really get surrounded and collapsed on.
Right, exactly. I feel like, I've said it before, the double blaster, I feel like that would be why they felt a little bit more comfortable locking that in. But on the same side, on the Knights, you can see that they really, really have a strong front line as well. The Anar, the Ash is going to play a very, very big role. But Game 3 is about to start on Jaguar Falls. Take it away, Casters.
Game 3 about to get underway, and this is the start of the Renegades turnaround, Gormizer. You get Jaguar Falls, you get Pip, you get Bomb King, and you get win number 1 in the set.
Well, statistically, it's their last chance, right? I mean, we still have not seen a 3-0 up reverse sweep in the league. So based on history, this is one of the last moments you have, although I think this is going to be one of the ones that they potentially can push around. Again, what they were saying, a lot of area of denial here on the Renegades. 2 blasters, both of them very notable on Jag Falls, very, very notable at controlling the point, and I think that's kind of where I hope they've oriented their brain, right? Because that's the biggest issue. Last map was so Frog Isle, they couldn't get there because Knights were just overpowering them. Last map, they didn't go there. This map, you have the tools to control it. Just turn your attention a little more centered.
Quick issue on the back end. We're going to relog, get back in there. Very short break here before we jump back into to game number 3. What a lot of people don't know is that there's some ulterior forces at work here, Gore, because of the Renegade sets that I've casted in split number 2, they're 2-0. They won both of the sets that I casted this split, but they also lost both of the sets that you casted this split.
Yeah.
So there's some space magic going toe to toe here, and right now it's leaning your way.
I guess I'm just bad luck.
I guess
probably for just the Renegades. Hopefully, just the Renegades. Katie hasn't told me anything supremely negative that's happening over there. Maybe I'm just a bad luck charm in general, but
who knows?
You never know.
It's like the Harry Potter scene where the wands at each other and they're kind of the beams are going back and forth. Unfortunately, right now I'm getting blasted off the screen.
Yes, that means I'm Harry Potter. Let's go, baby.
Well, hopefully we'll turn it around here. I mean, they have a fun composition. Honestly, I mean, you have Pip, you have Bomb King, a lot of space control from them. But I'm also scared of what they have on the opposite side. You put Ricotta on Cassie, probably, I think, for the first time in this set, and that carries so much potential behind it. It's going to be a fun one, I think, to watch unfold.
And you get Simsalou finally shifting and pivoting away from, hey, you've been Willow this entire time. Now you're Maeve, one of the champions we saw you win MSI on.
It's not much of a drop-off.
It's really going to be, I would say, equal, maybe a step up, depending, but not like a huge step, just like right there. And it's going to be really good. And as Kresnik had said on the desk, they don't really have a way to cleanse Midnight, save for using ults in response, which is never the way you want those trades to go. I mean, if you pop Midnight and you get a King Bomb in return, you're just, well, that's a win. It doesn't matter what that King Bomb does anymore. That's a win for you because it was ult for ult, and Midnight's going to charge up like that. King Bomb's going to charge fast, but in terms of potential, like having it forced out instead of finding the scenario for it, King Bomb is like the biggest ult that can be crazy high potential, quadra-kill, pentakill, or could do absolutely nothing.
Right. It's such a hit. I mean, literally a hit or miss ultimate. One thing I kind of notice is the frontline battle has been so important in these 2 games so far, you know, with the Knights getting the edge up to this point. And the Renegades in the past, if I'm remembering correctly, have opted more so for the Ashe first pick over the Khan. I'm sure that, there's probably a lot of examples of both. Do you think if you are a frontliner that's been having a tougher time, do you agree with them going Khan, knowing the Ashe is immediately going to get answered out, or is that just kind of a, anyone can win the day on that?
I feel like you're playing a card game where G-Bunny has like 5 tanks, and Moonchopper has 2 tanks, maybe 3 tanks, right? and you're shuffling them up and trying to pull over the ones you want. Like, you ban these 3, so
Sure.
you're like, cool, one of each. Let's, this one wasn't working, let's grab this. Like, G-Bunny's going to be able to perform no matter what, and I think that's
Right.
kind of where the issue they're running into. You're now grabbing Con, and, last game it was Hero that was playing the Con as well, which is like, you don't get your point tanks, you don't really get the aggression I think you wanted out of it, or you do get the aggression, and then it pays off nothing because you don't have anyone to stand on the objective. So, like, that's the trade and the thing you have to keep in mind with the drafts as well as with the play.
Sure. Well, it's going to be fun to watch unfold. We're going to have to send it to a quick break. We're going to remake the lobby, get everything all sorted up. Gore's going to pick up his ring. We'll be right back right after this.
Thank you for coming back to the PPL, guys. A little bit of technical issues. They're just currently about to get right back into the game. We're about to head right back into there. Just we do appreciate you guys sticking with us through this little small fracture.
Yeah, it shouldn't be too much longer. I saw. Well, if they're waiting for anything now, it'd be Bunny, who just ran to the bathroom as we were coming back here. I know he has about he just cannot stop running. Every single game when he gets up and he's like slapping everyone's on the shoulders, like, yeah! It's like 10% hype up the team, 90% I am chugging water and I need to get out of here.
Okay.
So the Knights got to be feeling good after those first 2 games.
Right.
It was 4-1. The Renegades do have a sign of life, but I feel like they figured out the strategies the Renegades wants to do. But I think Knights have a more aggressive comp this time. They're going to have to shift things up, and I wouldn't be surprised if that did kind of flip at least the start of the game.
Right, yeah. You cited perfectly last game on Stone Keep that it was 4-1, but it certainly didn't feel like one. Renegades, we see them slowly starting to wake up. They're getting back into the groove. They're trying to figure out what's actually going on. I feel like on Jaguar Falls that maybe they're just starting to learn really like how to approach this matchup, how to go about a situation. Because if there was any time where I feel like personally I would need to figure out another team, it'd be on Jaguar Falls where we're constantly fighting. You'll be able to rectify those issues pretty quickly.
Yeah, I mean, I liked also the focus kind of on Simsalu's characters, although Knights recognized it early. I mean, that early Mave pick as well is kind of saying, well, we'll give Simsy something.
Right,
like, if you're clearly going to do Willow Pip that fast, then we'll get him Mave, then we can maybe draft around it. And they did. I mean, I felt like they came up with that aggressive composition to kind of play around Simsalu, and I mean, he's clearly been a force for them ever since he joined the team week 1. I do like the fact that Renegades are adapting, though. There's definitely some teams that are in that situation and then just don't make the changes they need to. But still, good on them for trying to make something happen.
All right, guys, we're going to throw it right back down to the casters. This can get us right back into the game, guys.
Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you, guys, for sticking around. The ball back in our court now. Gormeister, Dolson, we didn't leave. We're still here. Excited to get into this game on Jaguar Falls. Lots of fun storylines to watch in this one. Gormeister, I know you love yourself some Bomb King. You get to see him here on Jag Falls, and it's a good map for him.
And it's going to be interesting. I feel like the hit scan player playing Bomb King theme that we've seen over this year, not even theme considering it's only happened a few times, it's not something that happens often, but I will, again, fall back to something Kresnik said, which is that Invocal has pretty much every single damage champion in the game in his pocket. So it's not something too outlandish, but you do have to look at it. If it doesn't perform really well, then that's the reason. If it performs exceedingly well, then he has something to gloat about.
And I'm really excited to see Shadow on this pip. Yeah, there's only been so many players throughout the PPL that we've seen that really are able to thrive on the pip. Of course, Bittner paying a little bit here and there, and everyone has kind of dipped their toes into the water. Shadow being one of them. So I'm excited to see how that plays out. Of course, the Bomb King, as we're talking about it, finds first blood already in this game. So the Renegades seemingly off to a good start.
And it's one of those moments, it's two parts, G-Bunny getting very aggressive and 2 blasters into that aggression, and he's in a very, very tight doorway. And that's the thing about Jag Falls and the thing that makes Bomb King and Pip work really well here. It's those moments, right? You don't have to hit them directly. Got to just kind of hit near them, and it's going to work out well. But once again, cool, you're winning the fight. Look at the objective.
Yeah, I was going to say, in classic Knights fashion, they're able to get themselves up to 69% on the point. Renegades, with their 2-for-1 trade advantage, are going to now unseat them, move themselves forward. 24%, 27 climbing for the Renegades here. These next few trades likely to decide the way this mid-fight goes. They just kind of concede the point there. They see the Inara come back. The Renegades back off. They need to find a trade or something to give themselves an advantage because they obviously are not looking for sort of that point duel. The ebb and flow of the game now has the Renegades back on the point, but no kills on this second chance just yet.
And that's, I think, the biggest thing. Looking at this trade, the low health, luckily being able to get healed up, is going to keep him alive a little bit longer.
One more!
That's going to be perfect healing coming down. Simsalu
Nice.
takes the bait, chomps down, and is fed to the sharks.
That's well played by Viral to be there. Moxie still around to top it all off. Viral gets a kill as well. Now the Knights, Zerini specifically, trying to hold his own on this point. If he's actually able to get Hero, it gets a little bit more interesting. That's not going to happen. G-Bunny's going to fall in flame just to put the cap on that candle. 93%, 96. Simsalo is going to get in, maybe get a touch. Through time and space, clips. No kills just yet, though. 1-for-1 trade, 99% for both teams. Renegades in control. Renegades on the board first.
I like the way Knights, though, play that very end, where it's just like, you know what? They popped in flame. They have a point, tank, off tank, a support. They have everything they need to control this objective. We're going to send in the Mave and through time and space, see what we can do. A good Evil Mojo. Going to be able to get rid of at least one, maybe cause some distress here for Simsy as well. But you finally get some comfortable, happy Renegades in control of the game for the first time.
Haven't seen them up in this set yet. This is our first example of that, how they play from the lead. It's the big question here. Setting a little bit of a trap for Simsalo there. If he backs up too far, he's going to catch some Bomb King shots to the back of the head, though. The daggers are good from him. A double kill for the Mave, forces Moonchopper and Shadow back to base. Renegades are going to take that hint and back themselves off as well without staggering off too much. And Vocal maybe actually likely to fall here as well. 3 in this one for Simsy. Renegades backs against the wall yet again.
I think the biggest difference from every round we've seen so far for this one was kind of Simsalu's impact. I think also G-Bunny at the very beginning, like getting first blood, getting second blood even there for Renegades, being able to burn down probably the two crucial members for the zone on the Knights was solid for them. But then even afterwards, Simsalu didn't have as many loud connections on the daggers. He didn't get any kills. Like, it was just not the round you kind of expect when you see him on Maeve. And depending on how this defense continues going, as they're kind of held up at this choke point here for the Renegades, you have to start looking towards next round.
Oh, that's a beautiful King Bomb. Stuns up 3. He only gets 1, but Shadow and Hero follow it up. Beautifully played. Poppy Bomb, midair, King Bomb, 3 stunned up. Renegades rounding this corner here. This is the trap you want to set. Just eliminate the ability to move to the left side. In this case, the right side. They're going to blow them all up. Cutie can't get out of his base. They're going to start to contest here. Hair's breadth away on that payload if the Renegades are able to get rid of some of the front lines on the Knights. This one's going to start to roll its way in. Ricotta's a good one to get rid of as well. They're going to trade out in Vocal. Zarini trying to stay alive behind the wall, but Hero's going to find him. Hero's going to kill him. G-Bunny's still alive, though. The kills are checkerboarded. You just have to drop off the Ash, and this one goes through. They might be able to do it. The payload moving forward. Now it's Cutie down, but it's the Renegades in with 2-0.
Respawn proximity is helpful, but you need a little more space than that to make sure that you can get some respawns coming through. You saw Ricotta, who died around the beginning of that fight, was just there out of range and had to roll back instead of rolling forward. There was no real chance for him to be the saving grace, but is the perfect stagger coming down, which was all started by probably one of the best King Bombs that you could have had. I mean, great Poppy Bomb to bounce him into the air to get the initiation, lands, hits 3. And the best thing about it, the follow-up from the team.
Yes, the follow-up is there. That's confidence. That's a King Bomb, Poppy Bomb into King Bomb of a player who knows, you know, regardless of them being down 2-0 in this set, the follow-up will be there. The damage immediately followed. He stunned up 3, got him low, but he only got 1 kill out of it. I mean, Shadow got the next. I forgot who it was who added number 3, but he only had 1 of the 3 kills, and that's just confidence. That's a player who knows that his team is ready to follow up.
And this is why he can just control so much of the objective. I mean, look at that. He's just getting so much damage onto the Inara, immediately following up with damage onto the side. That Unfortunately, his zone doesn't mean anything, and the same thing goes for the Evil Mojo.
Yeah, Evil Mojo, Cutie as well with the snipe onto it. Vocal, now your damage presence is gone. Fast cap for the Knights. They've been doing well on their mids without fast cap this entire set. I can only imagine this one may result in
Saw it.
Hey, man. Nice to see you. He's going to throw some daggers, get back out. He has to burn his shield just to stay alive. Doesn't look like anyone's going to be in range to get a touch. Knights on the board, 2-1. But this is a great opportunity. This is kind of what the Knights have been doing to the Renegades, where the Renegades are down 2-0. The Knights capture a point. Or the Renegades capture a point, but then a defense for 3, and then they just seal it up on the next mid. So still plenty of options, plenty of potential for the Renegades to get point number 3 here.
They pop the Inflame as well to get some aggression back. They get a lot of damage here. Good stun as well onto Zarini. Forces the damage carries out. So they maybe a little bit more potential coming down. Hero is still looking for his first death at this point on the 14 streak here for the Barrack. And that's kind of the biggest thing, I guess, looking at one of the things we were talking about after the first game, or the second game, where it's just, if you are Renegades, you kill off, like you're focusing down Simsy, you're focusing down Ricotta, and Zarini and G-Bunny don't care. They just take control anyway. If you're Knights, if you kill Invocal and Shadow, then almost everything from the Renegades disappears.
Right. It's a good game for Hero. I mean, you sort of mentioned you get these split performances out of him somewhere. He's, you know, top of the game, playing out of his mind. Some games, maybe not even by his own play, falls a little bit short. Zarini, good stun there. 3 kills for the Knights. Some trade back, though. Simsalo with some good daggers. But finally finding his first death here is Hero. It's 6-1-9. Plenty of defensive time left, but plenty of offensive time as well for the Knights.
53k damage as well on that tank. And I think that's the biggest thing, right, is when Hero's at the top, man, he is at the top. But the problem is sometimes you get Hero at the top, you get Hero in 3rd, you get Hero in 5th, you get Hero in 8th. Like, you just never know which one's going to come down. This is a phenomenal Barrack game from him, though, and a very rare instance for me to say. I would love to see Shadow step up to match his performance. And Vocal's doing really well on the Bomb King. If you get Shadow in the mix and he's hitting just as hard, these Evil Mojos maybe shift and start game-changing moments, then all of a sudden, this is a Renegades map.
Evil Mojos have been, they've been hitting, but the kills have not been following. This is another good example of that right here. 2 down now for the Renegades, and Vocal will be back in this fight shortly. But you don't have Hero right now. You don't have that big point presence. Moonchopper's gonna have to move forward, try to contest. That's a great stun and follow-up onto G-Bunny, but Simsilo finds a kill yet again. Cutie gets tossed away by the overpower. Moonchopper still alive, needs to find the kill onto Zarini, who's playing behind that wall here. Overtime's gonna begin. Who can find the final kills? Ricotta with the dodge roll out of the way, but the AoE shots from Shadow are enough to clean that one up.
You got to be a lot more careful with who you try to throw off. Simsaloo did not die through any engagement. He's been bouncing around. Fortunately, he also has virtually no health to try and re-engage in. So even though you just kind of surround them, you systematically eliminate the Knights. You throw a lot at them to make sure you get that, but you get it. And now, like you had mentioned actually earlier in the round, you are finally in control 3-1.
Just need one more. Good snipe from Cutie. There's only a few guys in the league that you can count on to pretty consistently hit those. Cutie certainly one of them. That's actually another kill down the stretch there. Those are his 2 kills in this game. 2, and 12 is where he stands. Top damage, though, going to Ricotta on the Cassie. Not too surprising, but the next 3, all for the Renegades. Barrack being up there as well. Good game from Hero. 5 resiliences, 8 total in the game, but only 3 of them for the Knights. Those Evil Mojos have often been landing on the G-Bunny as well.
And I think that's honestly where the luck is. I mean, Zarini, G-Bunny are the 2 mainly that have gone for their resilience. And they're the ones that are going to be the safest because they keep popping out of the chickens just in time. It's also going to help deal with the King Bomb. It's going to help deal with the throw from the overpower. Like, there's just a lot in their
good
favor.
Split. Watch out, Simsilo's around the back line as well. That's a good pinch right there. Ricotta, nice double kill. Simsilo might be able to clean it up, and Vocal's able to help out Viral, keep him alive in this one. Pittsburgh Knights, though, already at 70%. Not much of a fight back here from the Renegades Hero. He's not going to have a chance to rocket boots his way in there. 97, another convincing performance on the mid. Now the Knights could tie this one up.
That and Vocal kill. I saw him go up because of the Poppy Bomb, and I never saw him hit the ground either way. It's just been solid from the Knights. This one potentially able to tie the game for them. And they're immediately aggressive. They're immediately in your face. They're immediately giving you trouble. And that round, I mean, we were talking about resilience. We're talking about Evil Mojo. They didn't even have a chance to use it for that. They didn't have Bomb King charged up, so they weren't able to get that there. And the Dome Shield, I believe, has been ready the whole time as well. And it's just the things they use at the end of the round. That's where it comes back to hurt you.
It's a good Evil Mojo follow-up as well. Not something we've been able to say too much throughout this game. Ricotta, though, trading back. There's the double blasters doing some work here. 2 in this one. 1 for Vocal, 2 for Shadow. And these trades are all going to go the way of the Renegades. They're fine to do just this. 1.5 left. Yeah, the Knights left a little close and nearly went in, but the Renegades were able to play stalwart on defense. Quick update on the damage charts. Ricotta still up top, actually very much the same as what we saw before. Viral, 4, 4, and 20, doing well on that healer roll as well. And now the question becomes, how much do we try to invest on this defense? We want to seal it up on the next mid. We have to win a mid to end the game, but we need some ultimates to do that.
I think the biggest... I think the decider for that is not Renegades. I honestly think it might be Simsaloo. Right now, he's been having some pretty hit or miss, comes in, gets a double kill, triple kill, and then comes in and almost immediately disappears. Between him and Ricotta, they could absolutely seal this and tie this game up 3-3.
Well, getting rid of Vocal maybe means you hold on to the ultimates just a little bit longer, especially with Hero down for 9 seconds. Payload actually not moving forward just yet, despite Moonchopper not being there to contest. Finally now going to start moving. Shadow gone for 5 more seconds. Hero's going to have to get out of base really quickly, get down there and get a touch. King Bomb, they're going to throw everything actually. Through time and space rolls through, and so does the Bomb King. Doesn't end up finding a stun onto that one, has to back off. Only finds death around that corner. Moonchopper falls as well. This is looking like a great push for the Knights. Only need to clean up a couple more. Hero trying to stay alive, does just that, drops the Dome Shield as well. Not using the Inflame, not using the Evil Mojo. If they're able to find these kills here, they might find a successful defense, but Simsalo's back and he wants to fight.
And for as much as they're throwing at this, the Renegades have nothing left in their arsenal really to look for the defense. They still have an overpower if they want to pop it, but there's only 3 seconds left on the clock. They should be able to get some overtime here. No one's going to be able to touch in time. I think Simsy could have potentially gotten that.
That was close.
Because Zarini's right around the corner.
That was close. That was, I mean, you're playing with fire there if you're the Renegades. They used just enough. It looked like for a moment it was going to go through regardless. Ricotta's had himself a game, though. A lot of the reason. And look at this flank from Simsy. He's around the backside here. They just get pinched.
It's just so well done. And that's the thing. When you get this kind of movement from both of them, between Ricotta and Simsy, that's a scary team. Like, you can look at the slash lines for the tanks all you want. 2 and 9 for Zarini. That doesn't matter right now. It's not even glamorous for Ricotta and Simsy. They don't have anything that's crazy. They're just doing their job. And I think that's the best thing about it. And admittedly, also, you have to look at the way this last round goes. I don't think they care that they don't get that push.
Yeah.
They get rid of the Dome Shield and the King Bomb. That's just net positive wins. The biggest issue going into this round is probably going to be the Evil Mojo if it can connect.
Sir Dominance around to answer back. Could be a good Evil Mojo opportunity. Spots a couple around the corner. Renegade's going to throw out the Inflame. Immediately answered back by the Midnight here in this case. No trades just yet. Assert Dominance on the back line as well for the Knights here. Zarini with the first kill in this one. Simsilo adds number 2. The Renegades are all caught back in this corner. Half health bars, no healing on an island, all on their own. And Vocal's going to take the easy way out. And you said it, Gore. 5-4-0 fight there from the Knights. Point number 3 likely coming. And now trying to end this game.
And just being able to do that, I mean, you use so much of the defense. And you were saying, like, do you look to hold on to it? Like, at 45 seconds, that was the, it looks like they're going to hold on to him. There's, like, at this point, it's almost dooming yourself for the next mid-fight if you try to pop. And then almost immediately upon respawn, and Vocal's like, all right, let's get in for the King Bomb. Doesn't stun anybody. It doesn't, like, it didn't do anything. The Dome Shield, it bought you some space. I think it may have given a little bit of a kill. But now your backs are against the wall. You might be finding yourself down 3-0 in the set.
You're going to have to use the Evil Mojo. Jumps actually, looks like he jumped into time and space there. Didn't end up finding the kill. Simsilo unstoppable now. Another kill onto Hero for him. 3 members of the Renegades grouped up high here. Going to back off, try to prevent that Mave from dodging and ducking through that window here as they back off, try to defend. Payload moving much quicker this time around, though, than what we're used to seeing.
Going to be hitting the choke point here in a second, though. This last corner, pretty much once again, the dirt turns to stone on the pathway. That's where things get really rough. Usually it's a nice simple riding, right? You've got a paved road now underneath you. And it actually seems to be going that way for the Knights. They haven't really slowed down at all.
Well, he does end up finding the overpower. Trades out, though, with Ricotta here. So it's Moonchopper for Zarini. Zarini's been such a presence on the payload, maybe a net positive there for the Renegades. That actually opens up the rest of the door. G-Money falls as the Knights regress back to the starting point here. This is the choke point you're talking about, or stall out for the moment.
The biggest things on the board right now. King Bomb. Evil Mojo is about to make its second showing, I guess, for the defense here. From the Pip, from Shadow there. Dome Shield's available, and Flame's available. And I expect to see 1 or 2 of those popped before the end of the game. Potentially comes around. And definitely before the end of the round here, for sure.
Midnight could be ready. Dome Shield actually used by Hero up top there, and the Knights say, okay, we're just going to walk backwards and don't end up getting caught in there. Maybe he thought he was going to get dived in this case, or dove, I should say. Midnight drops out, rounding the corner now from behind is Simsilo. Evil Mojo finds a couple, but Cutie finds the shots onto Shadow here. Assert Dominance drops down. Moonchopper in such a bad spot. 1, 2, 3, almost 4 with the through time and space. Hero's able to trade back. G-Bunny drops him off, though. And this game is looking like it's over.
And that is exactly what Kresnik was saying when it comes down to it. We pop Midnight, everyone loses vision. You have to either pop ults, you have to figure something out, you have to garnish something in order to keep the fight going. That Mave shut them down perfectly at the end. I like the call from Viral to immediately pop the Inflame, say as long as, like, if you get close, maybe we can just burst you. But it wasn't enough. It was just systematic there from the Knights at the end.
Systematic is a great way to put it. You're up 3-1 if you're the Renegades. Fine, we'll maybe lose a defense, make it 3-2. Fine, we'll maybe stall out another defense. Now it's 3-3. They just could not get a mid put together down the end of the stretch there, especially with how convincing they were to start off. Resilience really started to come into play there. King Bomb not nearly as effective. Evil Mojo not nearly as effective. Fought 4 Rezils for the Knights. And that's kind of a throwaway from the Renegades.
There's 2 sides of the spectrum to be on, right? There's, we held our ults way too long. This is like Virtus Pro 2 years ago. Like, they didn't use them anywhere near enough. And sometimes you won games, sometimes you didn't. Sometimes you had them when you needed them, sometimes you didn't.
Right.
Then there's throw them out every time you get them. That's not the right way to play. And like, there's that middle ground that a lot of these teams in the Premier League have figured out. They know exactly where to go. Renegades were leaning a little bit more too on the throw them out whenever they had them, and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, just not quite enough. There's a little bit of fight back there, but the result is still the same. 3-0 are the Knights, looking to close it out in Game 4, which is coming up right after this break.
Paladins Premier League is brought to you by Evil Mojo, developers of Paladins.
Welcome back, guys, to the PPL. Thank you guys so much for sticking with us. Pittsburgh Knights just won their third game, currently 3-0 against the Renegades on Jaguar Falls. We had talked about it a little bit. It was very, very good, concise play from PK. They had just been able to control a lot of things very, very well.
Oh, sorry, I just woke up. That music from the break
Oh, yeah?
was putting me to sleep. But, yeah, no, they had really good control. I think it was also partially due to Renegades' 5-stacking play that they did. It's something that they've done since the start of this season, and when a team's ready for it, it doesn't work out that effectively. You saw the second mid, they were way back on the Jag side, tried to move as a unit, got kind of caught out. Next mid, they're all the way back on the right side. They stack up, move together. They just got completely kited and caught out. So that play didn't work for them. I thought that their micro and everything like that was pretty solid. I mean, they were hitting their shots. Everything other than the macro on those fights I thought was working out for them, but Knights just coming out fighting a little bit harder this game. Hero, I think, putting on a good performance for Renegades. Knights across the board, though. I mean, look, you got to look at Simsalou, 18-7. Zarini went 3-11. I think that's just because he was going to be the first one going down all the time. Right, yeah. But one thing that is brought to my mind on the Knights side was Cuss, 110%, 4-3 and 29. He had a lot of good placements, some 3-time in space, sniped right out of the sky right there for Invocal. He's just in the right place at the right time. A lot of healing, 184,649 healing on his side. Yeah, and his ability to find through time and spaces, even with mobility options up, just shows that he's kind of finding the checkmates here. And that is the Cuss I remember playing against. When you're just a tank on the point, you're just living your best life, and then he just walks up to you point blank. And there's just nothing you can do. He just knows the limits of Genos. What he can do. He's been playing it for a long time, and you can see that with how he played this match. Yeah, I agree. He did very, very well with his positioning, but the rest of PK did as well. I mean, like we had talked about it before. Well, you had briefly mentioned it. We had expanded on it. It was just Zarini. He was 3-11, 3-11-17, but that's that's because he was dying for most of his team. He was securing a lot of these fights, and not only that, he was pushing the payload, making sure that he was able to control certain areas with that cripple field that Anara has, making sure that nobody could really step up to him and contest. Yeah, his ability to sustain in the middle of it. I mean, they had an aggressive composition, so the person in the front's going to be the one who goes down the most. Right, exactly. He's going to fall. Still, though, I thought he played well. I thought the teams both, again, it came down to a macro thing, strategy-based, but strategy, we'll have to see what ones they use on this map coming up. It's unique. It's going to be Ice Mines, one that teams can pull out something different on. We even talked yesterday about how a team had to straight up just not yesterday, 2 days ago, about an Ice Mines composition. Right. You can pull out characters that you don't see anywhere else. Dredge, in the past, Willow and Tyra were kind of Ice Mines exclusive. So I want to see what they pull out, because this is a map similar to Jag in which you can pull out almost anything. Agree. Genos ban is first for the Renegades. Knights are currently thinking about their decision, who they might want to ban. In this case, they do go for the Makoa. They just don't want to deal with it. I don't blame you, Knights. Makoa, very, very strong frontliner, one of the best frontliners in the game. His CC immunity when he uses Ancient Rage, if you decide to take that talent, the extra health that he can get, just too much to handle. Alice is banned as well, followed by Willow. They don't want to deal with that. They learned their lesson the first 2 games. Willow was just controlling way too much space, so hard for them to get in. I mean, and it's Willow and Ice Mines again. She was being played when she wasn't being played anywhere else, really. Not too much in matches, but I think teams were kind of experimenting with her, and now that she's everywhere, she's definitely bannable on a map that plays to her strength so much. Ashen Khan still open as with all the previous drafts, so I want to see how they decide to go. It's really going to set the pace, I think, for the rest of their draft. If they go Khan, I think they might want to go more of like a Drogo's Victor, control the area, spam a lot. Then you could, if they go Ashe, then maybe they want to go like an aggressive flanker, maybe a Xin. and try to have that space. Maybe do that IO damage reduction speed boost pocket to walk into the window to stop their pocket strategy. There's a lot of things they can still do.
Yeah, I personally believe that having an IO situation, I see you like rubbing your hands together right next to me, Kresnik. I personally believe as well that we could see IO come out on this map, potentially because having a strong point find is really important on this map. Ice Mines, once you gain the momentum, it's going to be really, really difficult before those gates used to not open those gates right next to the point. I know how to describe it. When the payload's rounding the corner, there is a gate you see to the right that used to not open. It used to be extremely hard for people to get from one side of the map to the next. Now they open. It still is a very huge momentum shift. And so what it is that you're probably going to see is maybe IO, not quite sure. I'm personally hoping that it is IO. So
I want to hear the line that it plays when she gets picked. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm not sure. Just looking at these drafts right now, if either team is going to go that way. Renegades still have a couple options. I'd expect them to get a support here, maybe. Oh, Drogo's okay. So that to me says they want to be a little pokey. They don't want to commit too hard. Barrack coming in also another poke-centric tank with a lot of self-sustain. So they could take. I could see maybe a Furia rounding out this composition. The damage boosting means that it's really hard for Knights to push into them if they choose to go that direction. Be going into a Victor, not as bad on this map, though.
Right, yeah, I agree. Barrack Drogos is locked in for the Renegades. Knights are currently hovering, but well, not necessarily hovering, but they're considering 2 more characters for the team who would actually be benefit to this composition that RNG sort of has set up right now. Now, the Drogos pick into Victor. Now, here's what's interesting to me is that Drogos into Victor is normally like a death sentence against hit scan characters. It's hard for Drogos to be able to do what he needs to. But with Ice Mines, this is a different story. You have a lot more cover. So he has a lot of places to hide. He has a lot of places to shoot those rockets, duck behind, and reposition himself to somewhere else.
Specifically on the mid, too, which is what matters more than anything. I mean, on the, once you're holding last, if the Victor's on the high ground and you're in spawn, you're not having a great time, but most of the time you'll still be able to hold anyway, and being able to get that indirect spam with the combustible around the corner. Most of the time combustible is what gets picked on this map. It does a lot of displacement, lets your team gain a lot of ground if people are getting booped away from the windows. Ying Cassie starting to close out the Knights draft. Ying really good at getting dismounts through the gate on this map, and Cassie is just always going to be solid.
Interesting. Zen. Now, we've seen Zen brought out a few times on Ice Mines. Now, he isn't picked as much. You've heard probably me say, you've heard Krez say, Gore, everyone has said it before, that Zen's not really picked because of the billow nerfs it is that he got. He's not able to stay as invisible as he used to be able to maneuver from one place to the next. But Ice Mines, on the other hand, though, with how many fights happen in such small rooms, he's able to cover a lot of ground. That spin's going to do a lot of damage. It's easier for him to hit his ults, burn those tanks. You can still not underestimate overall what he has to offer on this map.
It's mostly a sustain-y kind of thing where he can get away from getting pushed a little better than some other flanks, plus that Yomi cleave really punishes you if you stack up when you try to walk through an area. Damba, a healer that it feels wrong to have this come out of my mouth, but that we haven't really been seeing very much of lately.
Yeah, that's weird.
I think it's because of resilience, that if you have a bunch of characters with CC and then you also get a Maldamba, you're layering up your CC a lot. So it really makes it have a lot more value in that sense. This way, if you go Furia, you have to get... The only counter to the Inflame is, Haven?
Right, yeah.
Haven, Black Shield, depending. So getting the more flexible ult, I think, is what teams are usually going for now that they've been avoiding Damba.
Exactly, they are hovering an R. They're thinking about it for quite some time, but I'm pretty sure they're going to end up picking. They do need a strong point presence to make sure that she can control it as she needs to. And Nara is picked for sure. Mother Earth herself is now on the side of the Knights. RNG, Ash, Drogos, Barrack, Zen, Maldamba. Whose team do you like better in this case, actually?
With the Inaricon Ying, that's going to be a hard wall for their RNG to go through.
I agree.
They have the Drogo's punch to get some kills, but I don't think the Xin is going to have really the staying power that they need it to in some of those fights. So I'll give the edge to Knights for now, but I think if the Xin really pops off, it could go Renegades as well.
Right, well, what could potentially be the last game on the side of the Knights? Or can Renegades bring it back? Let's find out after we throw it to the casters.
Well, the Renegades are going to have to surprise us one more time. Well, no, 4 more times, I guess, if they're going to come back in this one. 1 more time for the reverse sweep. But they're down. You just got to look at it 1 game at a time. Let's win Ice Mines. We move on from there, and then, we'll see how it all builds up. But you got to win 4 straight.
You can break it down this way for him as well. You won 4 games against Na'Vi. You could potentially win 4 games against Knights.
That's true.
Ignore the fact that they have to be sequential games on maps that if you win this one and the next one and the next one, that they're going to be choosing where to go, and it's
Right.
going to be their hometown. But ignore all that stuff that, plays against you. Stay optimistic. I'm a big fan of that.
Well, week 1, game 1, the Knights lost every single map pick that they chose.
True.
So, maybe that's the way to do
actually
it.
the way you
Right.
need to.
Maybe you
Stop
need to
losing
just win
the
one.
games.
Just win one, and then that's all you need down the stretch here. Granted, they won their first map pick in the first 2 games here. Ricotta on the victor this time. Got us in this game, though, Gore,
Yeah.
and that's kind of feast or famine.
That's the thing that is kind of on my mind for this one, right? He is a good pick on Ice Mines, but it is good when it's good and it's bad otherwise, and that's the biggest moments for it. Like, you look at NIP, I think they've been running it here a couple of times. Like, we've seen Zin on this map a few times, and I mean, he can absolutely still do the things he used to. Yomi's still really good. If you stack up like this, it's even better.
Yes.
But you gotta hope they continue to do that.
You gotta hope that you don't lose trades on the backside. Bad spot for G-Bunny there. Threats on either side. He finds the back of the back of base now with death on his side. Renegades, this is a good spot for them. They can push out, force the Knights to fight uphill. That's a bad spot to be in. So a good start here from the Renegades. 2 for 1 trade, but that's just enough. That's all they need to put their hold on this one.
I mean, it's just like a dream come true. They're either lined up for a Yomi strike or they're in the perfect spot for a Dragon Spit to come through and hit 3 or 4 members. But they play it appropriately. For the first time, I think Renegades not only
nice
in control of
shot,
the objective,
Simpsy.
but they get such a huge amount of percentage.
That's good shots from Simpsy as well, dropping off Shadow. Just to make sure I know where Viral is. Actually smart CC immunity there. You don't get to see it come out to play too often. Doesn't find
Twice.
Yeah, twice even. The stun from Viral goes searching. The shoulder bash does nothing. I don't know if that would have made too much of a difference, but if nothing else, Simsaloo, nice, healthy, wealthy and alive here. G-Bunny catches a few shots from Shadow, has to back off. 84%, 87 for the Knights on the backside. The Renegades need to win this fight to stay into this one. He doesn't find a target, gets caught on the roof. That's all they need. The spite from Invocal gets a kill onto Simpsy. This is all consolation if the Renegades are able to find anything, but they aren't even on the back end of the mid, and the Knights start off 1-0.
I'm trying to do whatever he can right here. Moonchopper's dancing around his shield, dancing around with Viral, and they're just trying to stay alive, but that's a double kill for Ricotta as they not only take back the point, they take back the beginning of the push. I mean, that was just beautifully executed. That moment when you go down, and I was saying it's beautiful if you're Drogos, you get a Dragon Spit, you hit 5 people. They didn't hit the Dragon Spit. They didn't hit 5 people, and that was where Knights are just, we're going to regroup, and then we're going to move in one by one. We're going to retake this just like it's the beginning of the game. Don't think anything about it.
I'm not sure Dragon Punch ending up on the roof, whether he was just trying to stall out or maybe got caught there, one or the other. Either way, didn't find a kill, found a death in that case. Zarini, Simsaloo, G-Bunny all on the board here as the payload's rounding. Maybe it's final corner. One more shot's going to do it. The Khan is going to be the one to find it. Now the Renegades are all spawning out of base. The payload's going close. You can dismount right here. Actually, a beautiful commander's grab keeps him out of range. You might have been able to follow it up with the rocket boots, but he's not able to now. 2 points away from ending this set of the Knights.
Now this is where the bad news comes in for the Renegades.
Yeah.
It's been a little bit in the PPL. Most of the Ice Mines I have in my memory have been 4-0s, actually, as of late.
It's turned around.
So getting up 2-0, I mean, it enables comeback mechanic. You can go in. If you control it the way you did last time at the very beginning, you've got yourself a point on your hands. The problem is the Knights know what you're going to be trying to do. They know, at this point should know, don't stack up in the side room. Don't let Invocal hit 3 people with a Yomi strike.
Yep.
Try to figure out where you're going to place your illusions, maybe a little safer for Cuss, but still able to find the heals onto Zarini. And as long as you do that, you're fine. But I mean, Shadow, no kills. In fact, almost all of the kills are on Invocal. Hero was able to pick up 1, but he's really the only one who had the performance last game, or last round.
Yeah, 4-3-1 for him. Only really the kills on their side. Spite confirmed 1, some good shots confirmed a couple other. I mean, remember, they had a 2-for-1 trade to start off the last round. They got 60-something% on the point. Weren't able to convert that. Assert dominance from the Renegades. It's going to control this back room right here. They actually might force him back. Invocal, unfortunately, catches a few too many burst shots from the Victor. He's not allowed to participate for another few seconds till he gets back into this one. The Knights back on the point here. Fast cap only gets the Renegades 11%, 3, and then 4 every other tick after that. And, one One more kill might just do it here. That's a good overpower onto Hero as well. So much less contest pressure. Moonchopper has to get in and get a touch. 84%. Invocal with the kill might turn this around.
Trying to do whatever they can. Again, Moonchopper dancing around the ice blocks. Going to get disengaged back onto the objective, but it's going to be, again, surrounded by the Knights. It's 2-for-1 trade as of right now, but Zerini, G-Bunny looking to turn that around.
There you go. Good shot from Invocal. Moonchopper cleans it up. 90%. The Knights have to back off here. Zerini might just catch one too many shots. Ooh, good wall. Maybe just delays the inevitable. It does. Moonchopper finds the kill. Good retake here from the Renegades. Fast cap on their side. One more kill is maybe all they need. They just have to dig in their heels right here and prevent going out of this set.
Barrage is at 82% right now, and that honestly could charge up just fast enough to make a big
It
difference
does.
towards the end. It's 97% already, and now the Knights are going to be coming back in. You got one tank to be able to get overtime, guaranteed.
Get G-Bunny.
It's 99 to
There you
93.
go.
You're going to have it drop down.
They got G-Bunny. Barrage, though, comes through, knocks him back. Final shot comes out. Fully reset on the cooldown here. Ricotta just stays a little bit too long in the window, forced to run away on the backside. Zerini now fighting from the point here. Good shot from Shadow. Good shot from Hero. That might turn this one around for the Renegades. Ricotta's forced down out of his hidey hole up top. He gets a kill, but traded out by Invocal, and the Renegades are on the board.
And again, just that right moment, that right turnaround in the right second when they're able to get it. And admittedly, it's I want to say more or less on the back of Invocal right now, just because you can see his streak burning alive. He's had a lot of impact. And there are a lot of moments throughout that round that Shadow was, even though able to pick up 2 kills, kind of playing distraction.
Yeah.
There was a lot of moments Invocal, or Ricotta, I mean, is focusing down this Drogoz, trying to hit him a lot very early on, and he's just spending too much time focusing on him. The tanks kind of got to dance around and do whatever they wanted.
G-Bunny at 5, 2, and 6. Zerini 4, 3, and 10. I mean, the only pretty slash line, quote, for the Renegades is Invocal at 8, 4, and 4. They are on offense right now, trying to push through. There's a good overpower. Believe that one connected. Yeah, it did. Down to 0%.
I'll also say, Simsaloo, these are the moments where it's got to be a lot more decisive for him, right? Like, it's just, he's been a little lackluster this game.
Sure.
And it's very similar to the beginning of Jack Falls, where it was just like, you know, you're not quite hitting every shot. Like, granted, jumping from Willow to Maeve to Cassie is not the easiest thing, so I'm putting a lot of pressure on his performance from champion to champion to champion. But that's just one of those things. Like, he has all of these in the pocket. I've seen him do really well on all 3 of them. And so it's just interesting to see that reset period where it's like, okay, these are where the daggers go. This is how Maeve works. Okay, this is where my Cassie shots. This is how hard I hit. Like, those moments where it's just kind of not necessarily relearning, but reconfiguring his arm and his brain to work.
It's like a rhythm-based champion. I mean, you know, you're firing off your shots, you hit the knockback, you hit the shot on the follow-up. I mean, it is so much a rhythm-based champion, and you really have to get into it. 3 points into this one, maybe starting to feel himself a little bit more down the stretch here. Ricotta's going to love his positioning, able to sit back, hang out, and free fire away. Shadow, the dragon, not up in the air just yet. Realizes Simsaloo might be able to hit the shot. Well played by him, actually, to turn that around. And Vocal with a double kill. Looked like a successful defense for a moment from the Knights. The Renegades were able to clean sweep them and push this one in.
Still pretty dangerous, though, for Renegades here. See Zin, obviously, as he's getting aggressive. Ash dancing around the objective itself, or actually getting up off of it. But you have 3 members right now. Master Riding's going to help get everyone back into it, but if you get maybe too aggressive in that moment, you could have lost it. Now you have everyone back. You should be fine.
This is a big moment here to avoid going down 3-1. We've seen it so much before, and Vocal's going to whirl his way through, billow his way out, has to stop being aggressive for a second. Viral tosses out the Dread Serpent here in this case. 3 members of the Renegades up in this high ground here. No kills just yet. Getting a little bit of healing, wants to get more involved. Ricotta just around the backside. Looks like Dragon Punch is going to start flying through. Is Shadow able to find anything here? Ricotta and Simsaloo both off to this side here. He's not able to detonate the fire spit. Ricotta's still alive. Simsaloo, though, gets met with a blast shot from Moonchopper. Ricotta still alive. The Victor pouring down damage from up above, and the Renegades frontliner have to stay alive.
And it's perfect. No one can get up there to deal with him. Moonchopper's trying, and he finally does jump up, and that was what they needed. Someone to deal with this Victor, and they finally got rid of him.
Yeah, but they're falling one by one. They have no healing. They have no help. You know, it's the frontliners against the world, and it's a tale as old as time in this set, where they go down 2-0, they get a point, maybe thanks to fast cap, and then immediately lose the following defense. And if history dictates anything, the Knights capture this next one for another 4-1.
Vocal just really good rotations on Xin. And it's one of those things, actually, I would argue now Zin's probably stronger on this map than ever, just because who's played against Xin in the last 8 months, right?
Yeah,
like,
right.
he hasn't been around, really.
Somebody playing against NIP, I'd assume.
Yeah, I mean,
That's about it.
You have a little bit of practice. Alex was bringing it out a little bit in Split 1. We've seen it a little more, I think, specifically on Ice Mines here for Split 2. As time has gone on, he's kind of poking his head back out there as people realize he still does a lot of damage. You just have to deal with the fact that
he does.
You're not immortal anymore like he used to be. But, I mean, 3-1. This is the same story as the first 2 maps.
I mean, you get the fast cap if you're the Renegades. Back against the wall in this set. The Knights win the set if they're able to win this point. Starting off with getting rid of Hero is a great way to do it. G-Bunny with maybe the opening kill, maybe the final opening kill in this set. Serini as well finds Invocal. That's been the only saving grace for the Renegades, and now he's not allowed to play the game, at least not for another 5 or so seconds. Rakata's going to get aggressive around the backside, realizes that the assert dominance, that's a losing fight, that's a pointless fight, but the moment it wears out, Moonchopper is going to drop 57% for the Knights. They could zone for the win.
Honestly, that comes down to, I would argue, maybe a bad ult from Moonchopper. He does whatever he can to make sure it goes off as fast as possible, and it actually staggers him out longer than anything.
Barrage maybe just buys a little bit of zone, and Vocal's able to get in, gets the touch, has to whirl his way out of that one. Overtime begins here for the Knights. Somebody has to get a touch. If you're the Renegades, Dragon Punch maybe finds something, but Cuskutie's able to trade out here. Hero's the last line of defense. That's a good Dread Serpent. Gets rid of Simsalo just for a moment. Hero's still alive somehow, but the rest of the kills are going in favor of Knights. This mid is over. This game is over. This set is over, and the Knights are going to win.
Unfortunate there for Renegades. I think as time went on, it got a lot stronger for them and from them, but the problem is the Knights are very resilient. The Knights have been able to just showcase why this draft change, their lineup change so far this year has been incredible from them. I mean, and it's also maybe answering the other question. Are Renegades a team that we should start considering when they're fighting these top tiers? And I think the answer right now might be no.
I mean, it looked that way at the beginning of the split. I mean, they're up. They go up 2-0. They win a big game against Na'Vi. I mean, everything is swinging in their favor. And now they've gone 0-3 since that fantastic start. And this is this is kind of a balance on both sides. Whereas are the Renegades starting to slip back into their previous form? You could argue yes. But also, let's look at the Knights. This is a team that has improved so heavily over the past few weeks, have gotten just so much better from what we saw out of them in the last split.
I have so much hope for the Renegades, right? I think they have a incredible path ahead of them to kind of forge themselves in fire as it would happen. But, that first week, you beat Kanga, you beat Na'Vi, everyone has high expectations. The next time you come around, you lose 2-0. You already start off on the wrong foot this time. Like, there's a couple of tweaks I think they need to make before they can get there, and a lot of it's just inconsistency of their performance.
Well, it's a quick set. The Knights look great. The Renegades go searching. They'll have another chance tomorrow. They're playing Envy. But let's send it back to the desk to wrap the day.
Thank you guys from the commentators booth. Unfortunately, Renegades do go down 4-0 against Pittsburgh Knights. Very unfortunate for them. They did have a hard-fought battle. They fought for a while. They fought hard, too. So we got to give them credit for that. They actually did try the best it was that they could.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, sad yeehaws in the chat, please.
Sad yeehaws, please.
For Renegades. And, I mean, like I said, they had signs of life on that last map. I mean, I mentioned this in earlier, and I thought it did perform. I thought Invocal was doing really good pressure. The Yomi piercing those Ying illusions were good. But just, again, macro side, I just don't think they had it together. We can take a look at the stats to see exactly how well they did perform. Invocal's top damaging on his team over Shadow on the Xin. So really good by him. Normally not a huge damage dealing character, the Xin. Usually going for like finishes and that little cleanup. So great performance by him. But on the Knight side, across the board, Zarini, out damaging G-Bunny. G-Bunny 12-4 actually. Not more or less just not being killable in that fight.
Right.
Renegades, at the very least, died together. They were committing into their fights at the same time. 9-8-7, basically, across the board for all of them. But, again, Knights just had their macro on lock, man. They just had the strategy just on lock.
I mean, in what situation would you actually be able to deal with that? With G-Bunny on this con, 12-4 and 10, such a strong contender for PK here. You just see him being able to run down from the chopper, just being able to counter that Ashe pick. Con can counter Ashe pretty hard. Her shoulder bash can be canceled. She can be overpowered out of it. She can be thrown out of her assert dominance as well. Like, there's a lot of situations that would have to be set up. Here is the overpower yeet right off the sides.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the powers of Khan on this map. The mid fight is so important. It's such a small, quick thing that if you have the overpower and connect it, consistently in those fights, that it's such a massive advantage. It really is. Just being able to immediately start a fight 5v4, take that very aggressively, get to an aggressive zone. Zoning on this map is basically, there's only one way to go. So the faster you can get to that situation, the better it is for the attacking team.
Well, despite that, PK are now 4-0 against Renegades. They did take this game. We're going to cut to a quick interview with them, with the winners, see how they're feeling.
Well, congratulations, guys. A 4-0 in the books this time. And there was a lot of buzz around this matchup coming into this week, wondering, are we going to see the Knights 4-0, which we did, or are Renegades going to look kind of like the team we saw in week 1? And there was a little snag on Jag Falls. I want to know, like, what kind of slowed you guys down there? Because it was really the only moment where you looked maybe weak.
I think a lot of that had to do with like the early game. Once we get ults, I think our comp is superior in like every single way. We will win every single lane. We have the wrap potential, but just early game, we just got snowballed on. We made a few misplays. That happens.
And I know, you know, if you look back at week 1, a tough start for you guys, but this roster is seemingly really starting to come into itself. Do you see Zarini and Simsilo really changing the way you guys are able to play? I see so much aggressive frontline domination, backline domination. Is the new player additions really allowing you guys to play that way?
Yeah, the new player additions help a lot. Simslu is able to take charge with everything behind the scenes. I barely do anything anymore. I'm just there to heal and play Final Fantasy.
It's your dream.
Yeah, it's my dream. And Zarini is insane. Like, I don't think he loses a point fight battle against any other main tank right now in the league. And it's so easy for me to heal him, and he wins every single matchup. You give him a bad matchup, he's still winning it. So
I mean, I think that was one of the big things. Like on Stone Keep, you guys went Anara Barrack, and it's both of the premier point tanks going on. So no matter what happened, you always had control of it. But almost every single point fight, it felt like the Renegades just couldn't stand anywhere near the objective. Do you like, is that just Zarini's kind of presence, or is that, you know, G Bunny on the side kind of knocking skulls around as the offense?
It's never G Bunny. It's probably Zarini.
And so I guess coming through, one of the biggest things that we've had a lot of flexibility. You've got a lot of champions under your belt now than what we saw through Split 1. Is that coming in just the flexibility of the team now, you know, do new in-game comms, kind of everybody feeling fresh?
I think everything kind of changed once we added Simslu. We kind of like figured out like the right way of playing the game. We cleaned up comms a lot. We're more focused on like what we want to do as a team and what our objective is on the push or on the mids, and like everything just seems like it's always in our favor, which is just really good.
I'm assuming I know the answer to this one, given that one. I know that we were able to sit down with Ricotta. He kind of laid out some of the groundwork, what you guys were hoping towards the end of this split, you know, putting yourself in the best spot as far as HRX qualifiers and all that goes. Do you think you guys are on track, maybe even ahead of schedule for the goals that you set out for the split?
I think we're on track. It was unfortunate we didn't have Ricotta for Navi, but it is what it is. We're probably going to have to go through the qualifiers, but we expect that. We're ready for that, and we're just taking it game at a time.
Well, a dominant performance here from you guys today. 4-0. Congratulations to you guys.
Thank
Enjoy
you.
the break. We're excited to see you back here, maybe for some more wins. That's it for us here at the interview. We're going to send it back to the desk to wrap the day.
Welcome back, guys. You heard it there first from PK, the winners of today's Game 1. Unfortunately, once again, we didn't have a second game today. SSG running into a little bit of travel problems, so we won't really see them yet. But the game did provide some very interesting insight into PK's new draft, their new mentality as well throughout the rest of the day. Let's take a look at the schedule, see how it is. Once again, only one game today, guys, so 0-4. But tomorrow will be Team Envy versus the Renegades, so that will be really interesting to see as well.
Yeah, it should be. Going to have to see how Renegades bounce back after this game today. I mean, a tough loss, but some characters back in the meta. I mean, specifically Io getting put into the meta. Right. Maybe they could try to figure something out with her moving forward, but we can take a look and see how the standings changed after the game today.
Yeah, here we go. NIP still in the top. We just take a look at the bottom for Pittsburgh Knights and Renegades. Renegades now at 49 in terms of the negatives here. Pittsburgh Knights at -21 as well. 7th, 8th seed fighting it out. Renegades definitely take this loss. Really just try and think about how they're going to approach the match for tomorrow against the 3rd seed Team Envy.
Yeah, and they've played Envy a lot in the past. I mean, they've been, we're looking back like a full year, they've been the middle team losing to Envy. I think the last time they played against Envy and won was beginning of 2018. There might be another match in between then, but still, they have a long road ahead, a big mountain to climb for them. They have to bounce back from today, and I have faith. I think they can do it.
Yeah, well, guys, that's all that we have for today in the PPL. I'm Fawn. This has been Kresnik. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Love you all. Thank you.
Skillshot, the official production partner of the Paladins Premier League.
Me estás una vez más.